Infinite projection room begins with the projection of Ultron's world destruction. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 301. The future always belongs to the young. The story ends, and it is an open ending. The story ends with Rooks's, but and a sharp monkey scream. It's a sharp question. As the boss of a technology company, Tony has the most say. Humans are indeed very lazy creatures. Except for some people with strong willpower and those who have very firm beliefs in their hearts. The rest of humans work for the sake of survival. It's not that they want to work, but they have to work. The progress and development of human technology is essentially to make humans live more comfortably and be lazier. In order to avoid having to do laundry, washing machines were invented. In order to walk less, cars, airplanes, ships and other means of transportation were invented. In order to be able to communicate with others faster, telephones and telegraphs were invented. In order to make calculations more convenient, calculators were invented. In order to be able to use these things more conveniently, mobile phones appeared. This is how humans are, using advanced technology to make their lives more comfortable. Tony said to everyone, what Metron said is actually partially correct. As time goes by, technology is becoming more and more advanced, but some humans will regress due to the advancement of technology. Monkey. Tony didn't say much in the end. He just touched his chin, muttered the word monkey, and sat down. Peter, what do you think of the pros and cons of the development of technology? Strange asked. Stark is a billionaire. Bruce is almost the same. I don't use technology equipment much now. Constantine's world technology has not yet developed to that level. Hikaru is not an earthling. The river god. The river god is still sleeping. I want to hear your opinion. Because I'm an ordinary person? Peter smiled bitterly and thought carefully about the pros and cons of technological changes. Peter Parker, in fact, I think the progress of technology still has more advantages than disadvantages. Mobile phones can bring people closer together, and the development of science and technology has also driven the development of other industries. For example, many high-tech medical devices can save many people now. Peter Parker, everything has two sides. We can't give up it because of its bad side and ignore its good side. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, I think I have some say on this. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, I can predict the future through quantum observation, so I can intercept some performance about humans. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, I chose a timeline where I was not born. In this timeline, because I did not appear, the Cold War ended with the death of Mauzy. Because there was no opponent, America began to develop civilian technology. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, in the early 21st century, smartphones began to sprout. Only 20 years later, smartphones became something that humans could not give up. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, at that time, in modern cities, you would not be able to survive without smartphones, and more new professions were born because of the birth of smartphones. People in the future began to gradually indulge in the virtual internet world on smartphones, spending a lot of money and time for a string of meaningless codes and pictures. The battlefield between humans also involved the virtual network world. Logan, no way, without that broken brick, humans can't survive? I don't believe it. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, please note that I'm saying that in modern cities, if you can survive in the wilderness like a savage, as long as you have a strong body and rich survival knowledge, you can do it, but in the city, you really can't survive without a mobile phone. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, in that world, taking a car, eating, seeing a doctor, and shopping all require mobile phones. The younger people are, the more they like to socialize in the virtual world of the internet. They are silent in reality, but they are very active on the virtual network. Peter Parker, is this true? Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, it's just a possibility on a timeline. Bruce Wayne, can you observe different timelines? Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan. In fact, I have created different timelines myself to conduct time research, but in the end it caused some bad consequences, so I destroyed them all, leaving only one complete timeline. Loki Odinson, how is this different from the Time Management Bureau? Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, the Time Administration, an organization that manages time. Interesting, this world is much more interesting than what I know. Can you explain to me the principle of how they control time? If possible, I hope to discuss time with you. Loki Odinson, no, I don't want to. Captain America, but if it is really as Dr. Manhattan said, then the society that continues to develop in this situation is really not good. Alfred, maybe we just think it's not good, Mr. Steve. Alfred, we are the product of the last era. It is normal that we cannot adapt to the changes in the world, but the world will not stop changing just because we are not adaptable, unwilling, or unwilling to accept it. Alfred, with the changes of the times, everyone is being swept forward by the wave. What we have to do is to learn to accept it, not resist it. Alfred, our era will eventually pass, and the future will always belong to the young. Avengers Tower. When Captain America saw the message from Alfred, he knew very well that he was not as awake as the old gentleman, perhaps because he had slept for 70 years in one breath. He didn't know how Bucky was doing now. After getting Bucky's location, Captain America quickly asked Nick Fury to send someone to find Bucky. During the time when he completed the tribulation, he also went to the coordinates where Bucky appeared in person, but found nothing. He didn't know whether Bucky had left that place or something new had gone wrong. It would be better if the tracker could consume power more slowly, Captain America thought. However, had he used the tracker to find something before, the power consumption of this thing seemed to indicate that he had used it before. Just like the new generation of Ultraman, why do so many people dislike the new Ultraman now? In addition to some cerebral palsy black fans, another reason is that the new generation no longer regards us as the audience. We have grown up. Yes, Ultraman is a children's show after all, and children like to watch it. That's enough. Many years later, when this group of new generation audiences grow up, I think they will definitely feel the same way. Why is Ultraman not as good as it was when I was a kid? Maybe it's just that we have grown up, and Ultraman has gone to protect new children. Chapter 302 Friends from the Starry Sky. The monster messenger and the boy tells a tragedy that was born because of fear that led to the evil in people's hearts. In that story, a friendly alien came to Earth, but because of human fear of aliens and the harm done to humans by evil aliens, tragedy occurred. And this time, another friendly alien came to Earth. The fastest and strongest maximum distant friend starts. Gulp. Peter swallowed his saliva. The violent shock brought to him by the monster messenger and the boy almost broke his 3 views. Now, a tragedy that is likely to be the same as the monster messenger and the boy is about to be staged again. Ace, maybe, this time it won't be like last time. Peter Parker, really? Ace, do you remember the endings of Miracle on the Third Planet and Super Weapon R1? Strange, in Miracle on the Third Planet, Yifu was influenced by Az's music and began to play music himself. Finally, under the guidance of Maximum, he left the Earth. In Super Weapon R1, Kilonman was slashed in the throat by Ultraman 7 and died on the beach and among the flowers. Ace, what about the street sniped and the street no longer sniped? Bruce Wayne, in one, the Metronians were killed by 7, and in the other, the Metronians returned to their own planet. Bruce Wayne, I think I understand what you mean. Bruce Wayne, compared to the story of the Kingdom of Light, Maximum's story is a little gentler. Ace, yes, that's right. This time the story is connected to the monster user and the boy in Jack's story, so this time, maybe it won't be a tragedy again. Peter Parker, I hope so. Image starts in the universe. A fireball falls to the earth at a very fast speed. The scene switches, and a green ball of light enters the boy's home. The boy is awakened. When he looks at the green energy body, the other party actually makes a sound. Nice to meet you. Can I change to my original appearance? This is the posture I use when I move. If I keep this posture for a long time, I will melt into the air. The confused boy soon realized that he had encountered an alien encounter with a very small probability, only if his ancestors' graves were dug up. The boy agreed to the other party's request with a calm attitude despite his fear. He did not shout. This boy was much calmer than other children. He knew that the other party was very calm now. He had better. No, he must not provoke it. He could only pretend to be polite and get through the stage first, and then report to Dash quickly. I hope it doesn't look too scary. The next second, a humanoid life form appeared in front of the boy. The boy was so scared that he tried to escape from here. The expected scene of being attacked by the cosmic man did not appear. A very gentle voice came from behind. I'm sorry, I scared you. Are you okay? The boy subconsciously looked back and saw that the cosmic man was disguised as a human, wearing a basketball jersey, and looked about 20 years old, like a gentle big brother next door. The boy could feel the tenderness and relationship in the cosmic man's words, and the fear in his heart also dissipated a lot. During the conversation, the cosmic man told the boy his name, Kifu. The boy's name is Zyrokyu. In the conversation with the cosmic man, he gradually realized that this cosmic man was not as evil and cunning as the outside world said, and he came to destroy and invade the earth. Kifu came from a planet that loves peace and hates violence, Nelaru. Because the mother planet has reached the edge of collapse, Kifu, as a space pilot, was sent to the universe to find a planet suitable for his people to live. Although the time on the spacecraft by the jump navigation method I used was extremely short, a long time had passed on Nelaru. Just when I was about to go back for my shift, I found that Nelaru had been destroyed. After that, did you sail alone in the universe? Kofu nodded, his eyes full of loneliness. Live room barrage Tony Stark. So when your Titan was about to be destroyed, why didn't you consider exploring the outside world? According to what you said, Titan has such a high level of technology, it shouldn't be difficult to transform a few suitable planets. At Thanos. Strange, if so, it is very likely to evolve into an external invasion in the end. Bruce Wayne, exploring planets suitable for survival is actually the same routine as alien colonization and invasion. Just like the Trisolarans and the three-body problem. Peter Parker, it shouldn't be. The title this time is Distant Friends. Bruce Wayne, only one person, of course, maybe a distant friend, but if Kofu passes this information back to Nelaru, then even if they love peace, they will be forced to start a war under the oppression of survival. Survival is the first principle of living things. Peter Parker, the video continues. Kofu is very happy, and he jokes up and tells Zyrokyu that the Earth is the first planet with life he has encountered in countless years of voyages. He has not spoken to others for a long time. Zyrokyu sees this and chooses to believe Kofu. He tells Kofu that he will accept the Earth tomorrow and takes out a landscape album and asks Kofu where he wants to go. At this moment, Zyrokyu's monologue sounds homeless, alone, lost compatriots, and has been traveling alone. If it were me, how painful it would be. In short, I want to make Kofu happy. While the two were discussing where to go, Dash was busy like crazy. Countless residents reported to Dash that they had witnessed a green UFO. Although Dash has a satellite, the difference between this thing and a decoration is that, well, so far, there is really no difference between this thing and a decoration. Captain Hijikata ordered a carpet search of the area where the green light appeared before, and Zyrokyu took Kifu to the park to play, peaceful, warm, and finally saw the excitement of seeing a life similar to himself, after wandering alone for who knows how long. Getting along with humans made Kifu feel a long lost sense of intimacy, and even the pain of losing his hometown was greatly comforted. Everything here made him fall deeply in love with this vibrant planet. Looking at the water and the trees, Kifu was overwhelmed with endless sadness. Chapter 303. Different people, different thoughts. There is so much water, so many trees, so many friends. It is such a vibrant planet. Kifu sighed. The scene brought back memories of his hometown, Nelaru planet. There, he also ran on the grass and played with his friends. And all the beautiful things in the past were buried with Nelaru planet after its destruction. Zyrokyu looked at the sad Kifu and comforted him. Just stay human and live here. If you need any help, I will definitely help you and accompany you. Hearing this, the sadness on Kifu's face turned into doubt. He caught the clue in Zio-Kyu's words. That is why Zio-Kyu must insist on keeping himself human in order to live on Earth. Because I'm a little thirsty. Let's go buy some water. Zio-Kyu was speechless. He couldn't tell Kifu that he couldn't accept Kifu's appearance as an alien. He knew that this would deeply hurt Kifu's heart. Even if Kofu is really a kind-hearted alien, Zio-Kyu still can't accept it. Even if he can accept it, can other humans on Earth accept it? The answer is absolutely no. It is difficult or almost impossible for the Earthlings who have been persecuted by aliens to accept an alien living with them. If Kofu returns to his original attitude, the whole park will instantly fall into chaos. No one will believe that an alien they don't know is kind and harmless because they have been hurt too deeply by aliens. People dare not gamble and can't afford to gamble. This isn't it going back to the story of Monster Messenger and Boy. Next, won't Kofu's body be gradually affected and then be discovered by the Earthlings and finally die to protect Zio-Kyu? Captain America, I don't think so. Have you noticed a detail? The stories of the Kingdom of Light are all in the 20th century, while maximums are in the 21st century. Compared with the stories of the last century, people now are obviously much more civilized. Loki Odinson, foolish mortals, you are deceiving yourself. Civilization, all I see is barbarism. Tony Stark, that's because you came here with the idea of invading the Earth and enslaving humans. For an invader like you, barbarism is good enough. Agwang, when friends come, we have good wine. When jackals come, we have shotguns. The video continues after hearing Zio-Kyu's trickery. Kifu also understood something. The civilization of the Earth is far from being able to accommodate aliens who are completely different from themselves. Even if he comes with peaceful purposes, the Earthlings will still keep a distance from him. Kifu also knows in his heart, can he blame the Earthlings for being ignorant? No. It is normal to have a fear of the unknown, and because the Earthlings have been hurt too many times by the aliens, they have gradually lost their trust in other friendly aliens. And as countless aliens with the idea of invasion have invaded the Earth and brought great harm to the Earth before him, this fear of aliens has deepened day by day. Kifu holds a newspaper with an illustration of aliens invading the Earth. When Zio-Kyu came back from buying water, Kifu asked, Zio-Kyu, the people on Earth regard aliens as enemies, so you want me to remain human? In the dim light, Zio-Kyu told the truth. On Earth, aliens are regarded as people who will hurt others and invade the Earth. I originally thought that you were the same, Kifu. There is nothing we can do about it, because it was like this in the past. Zio-Kyu was also very scared. Only by looking at Kifu's human form could Zio-Kyu accept this friend from the distant starry sky. Yes, the Jeton people, the Pedon people, and other aliens invaded the Earth wantonly, and humans suffered from these aliens. This also caused a huge trust crack between the people on Earth and the aliens. And at this time, Dash finally came over. No. Let's go. Zio-Kyu saw Dash's iconic team uniform, pulled Kifu up, and wanted to leave. Perhaps in people's inherent impression, Dash must destroy aliens as soon as they meet them. But Kifu didn't leave. Instead, he asked Zio-Kyu, Zio-Kyu, is Dash protecting the Earth from monsters and aliens like what the newspaper said? Yes. Zio-Kyu said anxiously, you have to run away quickly. Why are you still standing there? If you don't run away quickly, you will be caught. Zio-Kyu, I want to go with Dash. But you are an alien. Kifu looked at Zio-Kyu and said in a very serious tone, I have never done anything bad, and I will never do it in the future, so I want to go with them. What are you talking about? Kifu did not answer, but handed the newspaper in his hand to Zio-Kyu, then walked towards Dash with a smile. Whatever you want. I won't care about you anymore. 5 meters away from the 3 Dash members, Kofu stopped and said loudly to the 3 people, I'm Kofu from the planet Nelaru. I will not harm the people on this planet. I'm Kato. Please come back to the base with me first. A few days later, the information about Kofu spread all over the world. A large number of scientists formed an investigation team and came here to study Kofu. And people still have deep suspicion about Kofu's existence. Once suspicion begins, it is difficult to stop. In the Dash base, everyone said to the leading scientist with dissatisfaction, "You all know that Kifu has no offensive power. Why do you let him not rest for so many days and repeat this kind of examination? Kifu is already very uncomfortable," a researcher said with an extremely punchable tone and expression that made people want to punch him in the face. He didn't say he was in pain or discomfort. Kifu was not captured by us, but came to us on his own initiative. Yes. The researcher continued, this also means that he may be a spy of the invaders. We must find out the identity of the alien as soon as possible. Kifu. Scene closed his eyes and said with anger, his name is Kifu, not that alien. This is ridiculous. I'm almost going crazy staying here. I still have to go for an examination. Excuse me first. At this moment, the sharpshooter muting suddenly picked up the laser gun, looked at the gun and said, if he dies of exhaustion, you will be fully responsible. 10,000 words tomorrow. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 304 Manhattan Trio. The people in the screening room became calmer after seeing this scene. After experiencing the previous baptism, they knew in their hearts that it was a good situation, that Kofu was not dissected immediately. Human beings' fear of aliens is not something that can be eliminated in a day or two. Ace, if it was in the mountains, that guy would have been hit by 2 punches. Peter Parker, if we put the perspective on the Earthlings in that world, their worries are also reasonable. Wanda, I thought you would stand up for Kofu. Peter Parker, one thing at a time. Kofu is not wrong. He really came with good intentions, but the worries of those researchers are not wrong. They are also worried that Kofu is a spy of the invaders, and they are also based on the point of protecting the Earth. Peter Parker, they are not wrong. The ones who are wrong are the alien invaders who invaded the Earth, brought fear to the Earthlings, and destroyed the trust between the Earthlings and aliens. Bruce thought about it, but still didn't tell Peter the truth. Maybe there was indeed a part of the reason to protect the Earth, but these guys wanted to strip Cub and study every cell, write academic papers one by one, and get more benefits. From a macro perspective, this is understandable, but as long as you think about it, you Earthlings are bullying the weak and afraid of the strong. Loki Odinson, isn't Maximum also an alien? Isn't he also the cosmic person you mentioned? Why didn't I see them arrest Maximum and draw blood for testing? Isn't it because they are not Maximum's opponent? Diana Prince, what would happen if the Earthlings in our world encountered this situation? Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, Dissection, Imprisonment, Research. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, this is the most likely scenario after calculation. Diana Prince, what if it is not an alien, but an underwater person like Non-Malt? Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, Dissection, Imprisonment, Research, and Destruction. Diana Prince, Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan. In fact, there is also the option of slavery, but the probability of destruction is greater. Diana Prince, okay, got it. The video continues. It was late at night. The robot Ellie operated in the base for a while, and then said to the communicator next to her, Kato, switch to videotape in 5 seconds. Understood. Dash also split because of its attitude towards Kofu, and the one who couldn't stand the cold-blooded behavior of the researchers the most was Kato, the Kato who merged with Maximum. Under the cover of Ellie, Kato came to Kofu. As soon as he saw Kofu, Kofu recognized Kato's other identity, Maximum Ultraman who protects the Earth. Sure enough, except for the Earthlings, everyone can recognize Ultraman. You are the giant who protects this planet. I really envy you. After being recognized, Kato, or Maximum, nodded bitterly. He said apologetically, I'm sorry, I can't save you. Live room barrage Wanda, I thought Kato was going to force a prison break. Why did he just apologize? Peter Parker, forced prison break will only lead to worse consequences. Humans don't trust Kofu in the first place. If Kofu is taken away by force, it will be more difficult for humans and Kofu, or humans and aliens, to have trust and bond. Ace, Peter, you have improved, really improved. Agwang, yes, I'm really surprised that you can see this. Wanda, but Kofu is too pitiful. Agwang, Kofu, in fact, has already made up his mind to die. Agwang, after experiencing endless loneliness, he found a planet with life. I understand that kind of loneliness. Kofu wants to use his life to build a bridge of trust between aliens and Earthlings. The video continues in response to Kato and Maximum's apologetic apology. Kofu said in a weak voice, "This is also natural. In the past, aliens have wanted to invade the Earth. Humans must be on guard against aliens. If I were a scientist, I would agree with you. You can escape. Don't be detained." Kofu nodded. He admitted that he had the ability to escape from here. But if I leave now, I will never get the trust of humans again. Kato was stunned. He was shocked by Kofu's courage and belief. He didn't dare to look directly at Kofu's eyes. He could only turn his head away painfully and told Kofu, "Humans may never let you leave the institute." Kato's words did not scare Kofu. Kofu said in a weak, but very firm voice, "I understand." Kofu, why? Why do you have to do this? Sanashu. This is the language of my hometown. The extremely powerful Maximum Ultraman can defeat the terrifying monsters, but he has no power and cannot interfere or intervene in the battle of humanity. Maximum and Kato can only watch this young man who could have become a friend of the Earthlings. Apart from watching him, Maximum and Kato can do nothing. Kato was forced to leave the room before he could ask what Sanashu meant. Before leaving, Kofu asked Kato for something. On a street, Zyokyu heard two people saying that it would be better to just kill than Elirustar, and couldn't help but go up to refute. Even among humans, there are bad people who do bad things, so why can't there be good and bad people in space? The two people were speechless after being refuted, so they chose to use the most primitive solution in human genetic factors to answer Zyokyu's question. What did you say? Do you want to be beaten, brat? That is violence. Fortunately, Muting and Kato came to stop it all. Looking at the two well-trained and most importantly, wearing dash uniforms, the two guys left in a hurry. Kofu wants to see you. His body is already very weak. Yes, this is what Kofu asked Kato. He wants to see Zyokyu again, see his first and perhaps only friend on this planet again. Zyokyu agreed, but the condition is that Kofu must see him in human form. Chapter 305, Admirable. Fool. Kifu will be transferred tonight. This may be the last time they meet. Although he still has some grudges in his heart, Zyokyu still went to see Kifu. In the corridor, Kifu was so weak that he couldn't even walk, but the researcher still asked Kifu to get on the transport plane. Yes, the transport plane. They have always regarded Kifu as an object and never cared about Kifu's thoughts. Taking the opportunity to send Kifu to the infirmary, Ruxi and Scene brought Kifu to see Zyokyu. Kifu appeared in front of Zyokyu in the form of an alien. Zyokyu, who had previously repeatedly asked Kifu to meet him in the form of a human, didn't care so much and rushed directly towards Kifu. Many years later, there was also a dead Sundeer who repeatedly said that he would never help him again, but when something happened, he was more anxious than anyone else. The weakness of his body made Kifu unable to stand steadily. Kifu dragged his broken body and told Zyokyu his wish. Listen to me, Zyokyu. Besides me, there must be aliens who like this beautiful planet and want to make friends with humans sincerely, but they may not be able to become human like me. They will be regarded as invaders because of their appearance. Then, if there is an alien who has gained the trust of humans and become good friends with humans, then I think the situation will be different. In the long run, the Earthlings will definitely be able to establish a true friendship with the aliens. Zyokyu, I have decided to make a good start. In the screening room, everyone fell silent. They were really shocked by Kifu. Compared with Kifu's belief, all suspicions seemed so ridiculous at this moment. This is a friend from the distant starry sky who truly came for peace. There are many times when you just need to make a good start, then the things that follow will be as easy as water flowing into the water. But the difficulty lies in making this start. Just like the first person who ate crabs, people thought crabs were not delicious. In the past, only the poor who were starving would eat crabs. But now, crabs have become a very valuable food. What Khefu has to do is thousands or even tens of thousands of times more difficult than the first person who ate crabs, and he even has to pay the price of his life. For the beautiful Earth, and for other kind-hearted fellow cosmic people, he wants to be a pioneer, even at the cost of his life. There are always people in this world who are a complete fool in the eyes of others, who suffer endless suffering for an illusory belief, and even pay the price of their lives. And most of them don't even know whether this belief can succeed, let alone accept the benefits that this belief will bring them after it succeeds. Is it stupid? Too stupid. But this world is particularly beautiful because of these fools. In this world, there are always a group of people who give everything for an illusory belief. Why? Because they want the world to become better, and they want the people behind them not to have to walk the path they have walked and suffer. So, they choose to eat the suffering of future people themselves, and leave the sweetness to future generations. The video continues. Khefu longs for an incomparable and beautiful future, a future where all friendly aliens can make friends with the Earthlings in their true appearance. For this future, Khefu is even willing to sacrifice his life. Khefu. Xiaoqiu looked at Khefu and said the words Khefu had been waiting for a long time. Can you change back to the appearance of an Eliru star? Khefu wanted to say something, but he didn't say anything, just smiled. Khefu knew that he had succeeded. He had successfully taken the most difficult step. A single spark can start a prairie fire. As long as you take the first step, the light will be spread, and with the development of time, it will surely illuminate the beautiful planet Earth. Khefu changed back to the appearance of an Eliru star. This time, Xiaoqiu did not escape, but looked at Khefu and told him, no matter what you become, we are friends. Under this beautiful sunset, two teenagers from different planets made a permanent oath. And at this moment, a stream of blue-purple light descended on the city. Dash quickly dispatched, and Cov also flew to the city. The researchers left and complained. I said long ago that the alien was a spy, and he invited the alien here. Cov would never do that. Godla. An evil alien with the sole purpose of destruction. I really don't know why this thing was born in this world. The Godla wreaked havoc in the city. This guy was extremely powerful, and even Maximum's Maxium cannon could not break through the defense. When Scene was evacuating the crowd on the ground, he suddenly found Cov's figure. The streets were burning in flames, and the city gradually turned into ruins under the attack of the evil aliens. People were crying. Cov was angry. This Cov, who had always been extremely gentle and had never complained, even when he was subjected to inhumane research by humans, was angry for the first time on Earth. He angrily questioned the Godla. Why do you want to do such an extreme thing? Why do you want to destroy this beautiful planet? Perhaps because he put all his attribute points into fighting. This guy has no wisdom, only the instinct to destroy. Looking at Maximum, who was knocked to the ground, Khefu made up his mind that he must not let the trust he had built with great difficulty be destroyed by this guy in front of him. The Godla began to accumulate power. After several seconds of accumulation, a purple light with extremely terrifying power shot towards Maximum. If this move hits, even Maximum will not be able to escape the fate of defeat. But at this moment, a green light particle shield blocked Maximum. It's Khefu. Just now, Khefu turned into light and blocked this fatal blow for Maximum. In the last moment of his life, Khefu remembered the good times he spent with the boy. Goodbye, Earth. Without an explosion, Khefu quietly disappeared between heaven and earth. And Maximum was completely furious. Maximum seized the moment when the Godla was distracted and summoned Maximum Galaxy. A piece of equipment like a phoenix flew from the sky and landed on Maximum's right hand. After accumulating power, Maximum Galaxy was released with all its strength. Second update. Chapter 306, the future that Khefu envisions. The invaders were defeated, and Khefu left. Khefu became a pioneer and a hero of mankind. Now people no longer doubt Khefu, and they begin to believe that there may really be aliens in this world who come with good intentions like Khefu. Although Khefu can no longer see all this, the particles he turned into will remain in the wind and will continue to blow over the land he loves deeply in the future. And Kato also told Xiaoqiu the meaning of what Khefu said at that time. Sanushu. In the Neliru language, it means longing. Longing will drive our hands and feet, and we all want to continue to rush towards the distant horizon. Yes, longing. Longing is a very illusory word, just like hope and dream. But it also hopes and dreams, giving humans the motivation to move forward into the future. Kofu feels that longing is the power that drives everyone's hands and feet. And the way that Zyokyu and Kifu ran towards that tree together at that time, wasn't that the harmonious future that Kifu longed for? Kifu, who turned into light particles, did not disappear, he just merged with the earth. When the breeze blows on your face, if you listen carefully, you may hear a greeting from a friend in the distant starry sky. No matter how difficult the road is now, there are always people who persevere. Even if it costs their lives for this, we generally call those who fight for an illusory dream and even give up everything great pioneers. Kifu's vision, just like that of the International, will definitely come true. The fastest and strongest maximum distant friend, and after the screening ended this time, the screen did not turn back to black, but stayed in the park. Hikari looked at the park on the screen with the breeze blowing, and could still hear Kav's laughter faintly, and sighed. This is what Ace often said, the enthusiasm cannot be extinguished. Ace, yes, this is what I expect. Ace, people, no matter which country or planet they are from, as long as they love peace, they can unite, put aside prejudices, stop wars, and live together in unity and friendship. This is the paradise in my heart. Ace, at that time, we can really stop fighting. Ace, this is my expectation, the future I long for. Ace, this kind of future will definitely come true. Ace, maybe I can't see it, but it doesn't matter. At least I have worked hard and fought for this beautiful future and contributed a tiny bit of strength to its birth. As long as one day in the future, our children can live in that beautiful future, that's enough. Peter Parker, I also want to contribute to Mr. Ace's expectations. Although my power is very small, I can also start from my universe, my planet, and my school. Peter Parker, although I got the power of Ultraman before, I didn't have an accurate goal. I just used Ultraman's power to defeat monsters. Now I think I may be able to do more. Peter Parker, for example, solve the campus violence in our school first. Bruce Wayne, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But how do you plan to solve it? Peter Parker, I originally wanted to teach Thompson a lesson directly, but now I think this won't work. Peter Parker, temporary violence can only bring short-term suppression, just like plugging a water pipe. When the plug is removed, the gushing of water will only be stronger. Peter Parker, when I was in school, I might be able to defeat everyone by myself, but what if I leave? Those guys who like to bully others will soon be revived, and because there is no suppression from me, their actions will only be more serious. Peter Parker, so I think I should start from the source, find the cause of school violence, and find a way to eradicate it here. Tony Stark, school violence. I have never experienced it. Kit, I can't help you, but I think someone can help you. Captain, it's time to let Fury, the freeloader, do some work. Avengers building. Fuck, it's not enough that I'm busy looking for people. You actually want me to invite a lot of psychologists and educators to study the causes and treatment of school violence. Tony's words just turned into a barrage of comments, and Nick Fury's roar came from the phone on Black Widow. Okay Fury, hurry up and get to work. X-Men Universe. Charles, do you have any suggestions? Logan asked Charles beside him. I think this is a specialty for you. Of course. Charles put down the pen and paper in his hand and said, I have a doctorate in education. WandaVision World. Zion, am I stupid? Wanda asked with a blushing face. No. Vision brought a cup of tea and said with a smile, everyone has different ideas, and different experiences will create different worldviews. It is completely reasonable for you to make those choices. Violence will only bring greater violence. Wanda picked up the tea and kept repeating this sentence in her mouth. But if you don't use violence, but blindly use love to influence the evil, I'm afraid that you will be hurt more deeply by the evil. Power should be used to protect. This is absolutely right. Wanda looked at the chaotic energy ball in her hand and continued. Power, there is nothing wrong. The wrong thing is the people who use power to do evil. My idea of using power to protect others is not wrong. Wanda frowned. She was thinking about the limits of power. It is wrong to blindly and unconditionally use violence to kill all the evildoers. This is really no different from those who use power to hurt others. What is important is the degree, a suitable degree. But what is that degree? Demonic hell. ZHU Lan looked at the three demons with disdain as they gnawed the mammoth like wild boars, leaving not even a bone. Shameful. ZHU Lan sneered at the strange ideas of humans. What violence, what this and that. In this world, only absolute power is the only truth. Love? Too fake. Only powerful power is the basis of the right to speak, and only with powerful power can one survive. 3 more. Chapter 307 Welcome to Earth. Everyone was thinking. The distant friend had a sensory impact on them no less than the messenger of Nongmut, the monster messenger and the boy. They saw the courage of a tiny life and the helplessness of Ultraman. Ultraman is not a god. Even Maximum, who is known as the fastest and strongest, has things he can't do. He can't save Kofu from the Earthlings, nor can he save Kofu from the Godlers. He is not a god. He also has failures and times when he is powerless. The fastest and strongest Maximum. Welcome to Arts in 1 minute. Welcome to Earth. Is this the influence of Kofu? Peter's eyes lit up. Welcome to Earth. This title gave him an illusion. Maybe this time it will be a story of friendly coexistence between aliens and Earthlings. Others are also looking forward to it. Early morning, at the seaside, the boys walking home with a bucket full of conches. Today's harvest is good, especially some of the conches are particularly large, as big as a fist, and such conches can be sold at a high price. He was playing with these conches when he suddenly heard a strange cry from beside him. He glanced at them hastily without paying much attention, and continued to admire the very large conches. Wait. The boy was stunned. What did he just see? He slowly turned his head, and saw a huge monster head. The monster's head was as high as 2 stories. The eyes alone were as big as tires. The mouth opened, and made a deafening roar. It looked like a fish, but it had no scales. Instead, it had smooth skin like land animals. The skin was black with orange-yellow patterns. According to the classification of Earth creatures, this thing should belong to dolphins or whales. Ah! The boy screamed in fear. He had seen these huge monsters on TV before. This was the first time he saw them in real life. Moreover, this monster was right in front of him. How could he not be afraid? He looked at the huge monster in front of him in horror, crawling to leave here, but at this time the monster roared again, and sprayed a lot of seawater, directly soaking the boy into a drowned chicken. The boy thought that the monster was going to eat him, and screamed in fear, "Someone come." RRR. The boy ran towards the village, and soon the village sounded a shrill alarm. After the boy told the patrolman stationed at the station about the encounter with the monster, the patrolman immediately sounded the alarm in the village, but they did not run away because they found the monster, but summoned the fishermen in the village, and one by one they ran towards the place where the monster was with weapons such as harpoons. In the screening room. To be honest, I personally think this is an extremely unwise move. Loki Odinson, are these stupid humans in a hurry to die? Thanos, courage is commendable, but what's the use of them going there? Tony Stark, this is probably the first time I agree with you two. What they should do is to flee quickly, seek refuge in a safe place, and report to professionals, like Dash to deal with it, instead of going up to show personal bravery. Loki Odinson, what personal bravery? Isn't it just mindless death? Stupid humans, you still need the guidance of the gods. Tony Stark, Captain, if I remember correctly, someone has tried to assassinate Thanos. Who is that person? Captain America, helpless. Point JPG. Loki Odinson, that was a tactic, a strategy. What do you, a mortal, know? Wanda, right. As long as you admit that you sacrificed yourself to save Thor, we won't blame you for this. Loki Odinson, his WandaVision universe. Wanda sneered, dead arrogant, still fighting with me. The video continues. Come on, follow me. The boy ran in front, shouting loudly, pointing the way to others. The patrolman followed closely behind. A large group of people followed, many of them holding weapons such as harpoons, as if they wanted to capture the monster, and some students wearing yellow hats came out with baseball bats, without any fear. Even the fire department dispatched the only fire Truck, hello, hello, is that Dash? The boy called Dash while running and said loudly, there is a monster has appeared. After calling Dash, the boy immediately ran towards the location where the monster appeared again. At this time, the patrolman and others had already arrived at the place where the boy said there was a monster, the Kingdom of Light. When Seven saw the face of the patrolman, he was stunned. Damn, isn't this the kid finger one? If this world had its own isotope, then Leo's appearance would not be possible, but his isotope had been captured and put into the space prison. It should look similar. Image continues. Excuse me, let me go. The boy who caught up tried to push through the crowd and squeeze in, but the place where the monster just appeared was now empty, with no trace left. Only his barrel of conches fell to the ground, and the conches inside crawled out of the barrel. Boy, where is the monster you were talking about? Everyone looked at the boy with questioning eyes. Seeing that everyone did not believe his eyes, he knew that these people must have regarded him as a liar and thought he was lying. He argued helplessly, I don't know why the monster disappeared, but I did see it. It was a big guy weighing more than 100 tons. The scene changed, and the Dash team drove the Dash Alpha to come. As expected, it was the designated CP of the Dash attendance team, Mizuki and Kato. The patrolman escorted the boy and apologized to Kato with an apologetic look. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. He slapped the boy's head hard and scolded him at the same time. You kid, really? It hurts. Kato was not angry, but squatted down gently, holding the boy's shoulders with both hands and said, it's okay, Zayoi, don't be afraid that you saw it wrong. If you encounter strange things or monsters in the future, you muster up the courage to tell Dash. The Kingdom of Light. Ace praised with tears in his eyes. A group of Ultra brothers suddenly felt a little jealous at this moment. Sour, really jealous. Look at their relationship, and then look at the group of unruly people on their side. MD, this day has never been better. To be honest, the current translation of Dan Moriboshi and Yanutori is so ugly. Chapter 308 Bolton. Look at them, and think about the group of unruly people I met on Earth. The relationship within their team is harmonious. Then think about myself. Pa. Slapping sound. Beetle, are you awake? A sour smell spread in the conference room. The video continues. Kato comforted Zayoi, and Ruxi also told Zayoi that as long as there is a situation, he should report to Dash, and they will come immediately. Watching the two drive away, Zayoi was very encouraged. He thought that the other party would blame him for making a false report, but the fact was completely the opposite. Not only did the other party not blame him, but he encouraged him, which immediately relieved a lot of the burden in his heart. Time quickly came to the next day. Still at the seaside, the patrolman patrolled around the village every day as usual. Because of the monster's blunder yesterday, his patrol range today was expanded a little and came to the seaside. It's so comfortable. The gentle sea breeze blew towards him, making people feel very comfortable. The patrolman looked at the peaceful and tranquil scene on the beach and was very pleased. He didn't have any ambitions, such as promotion or salary increase. As long as no vicious incidents happened under his rule, he could just quietly slack off and get by. Second tone? What is that? The patrolman who was happily patrolling the beach suddenly found a dazzling light on the beach not far ahead. Even in the bright sunshine, it was still very clear. This immediately attracted his attention. Following the light, he saw that the light was actually a conch more than half a meter high. Exclamation mark. What is this? How can a conch glow? Exclamation mark. The patrolman immediately approached to see it clearly, but at this moment, the conch changed again. The conch itself rose a little, and a small house-like building appeared below, with an oval door on it. Seeing these changes, the patrolman felt that this thing must be unusual, and immediately hid behind a huge stone to continue observing. Leo's secret observation point JPG. The small door opened, and a strange looking creature walked out. This creature was only a few centimeters tall. After coming out of the small door, it stretched like a human, then jumped out, and jumped directly out of the conch house. However, his body size also increased tenfold, becoming the same size as the conch house. After it became bigger, the patrolman who was hiding behind the stone and secretly observing finally saw the appearance of this little humanoid monster. He saw that the other party had a lobster head, gray, and orange skin, and 2 huge lobster claws. The lobster has become a spirit. What is that? After seeing the other party's appearance clearly, the patrolman was shocked. But as soon as he made a sound, the other party heard it. The other party turned into a beam of light and drilled into the conch house like a frightened bird. The patrolman saw this and ran out from behind the big rock where he was hiding. He came to the conch and observed it carefully. He felt that this thing was definitely not simple. There was also the unknown lobster man hiding inside. All of this made the patrolman feel uneasy. So he reached out to grab the conch and take it back for a search. Showerman's pigs are advancing .jpg, but just as his hand was about to reach out to the conch emitted a red light. The patrolman was unable to move when it was illuminated by the red light. Then the conch and the red light disappeared together. The patrolman missed and fell into the water. Ha 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 ha. At this moment, a burst of laughter came from behind him. The patrolman looked back in embarrassment and saw that it was Xiaoyi. The magical scene just now was not only seen by the patrolman, but also by Xiaoyi. He was very angry because he was called a liar for what happened yesterday, because he knew that he did not lie. So he came to the beach again early in the morning to see if the monster from yesterday would appear again. Who knew that he did not find the monster from yesterday, but saw this magical conch instead, and the embarrassed scene of the patrolman. It was also because the patrolman did not trust him yesterday and even hit him on the head. In revenge, Xiaoyi pointed at the embarrassed patrolman and laughed out loud. The patrolman was helpless about this because after seeing this magical conch today, he vaguely felt that what Xiaoyi said yesterday might not be a lie, but he really saw a monster. Then the patrolman took Xiaoyi back to the station. Today's incident was unusual. The patrolman did not want to believe in the conch girl or something, because on this earth, these unusual things are either monsters or aliens behind them. Maybe there really is a monster in their village, so they must report it as soon as possible. Otherwise, if there are casualties, it will be too late to regret, and he himself cannot bear the responsibility. Bolton. Iguan looked at the smaller alien and recognized the alien instantly. Mr. Hikaru, is this alien a kind alien or an evil alien? Facing Peter's question, Hikaru explained, in our universe, the home planet of Bolton was destroyed many years ago, and the remaining Boltons were divided into many branches. I heard that one branch of Bolton has found a new planet and built a new home. Wonder, this guy looks like a crayfish. Ace, in fact, according to the classification on Earth, Bolton should be called cicada humans, the kingdom of light. Seeing the Bolton of that world appear, the first generation still unconsciously tightened his heart. Although what he did back then was indeed right, slaughtering 2 billion Boltons in one breath was still a bit shocking. Back then, I casually attacked Bolton, which not only caused great damage to him, but also caused a blood feud between the Kingdom of Light and the Bolton clan. I repelled Bolton's invasion twice, and once Bolton was summoned by Mephiles. Jack also encountered him once. I wonder if Eddie has encountered Bolton on Earth. The video continues. It's really not an illusion, Chief. After the patrolman reported the matter to the chief did not believe the magical conch and a person who looked like a lobster and thought he was hallucinating. He had to explain patiently. But even so, the chief still did not believe him. He even asked him if he had been drinking. What? Drinking? How could a subordinate do such an indecent thing while on duty? The patrolman immediately swore to prove his innocence. The chief seemed to feel the sincerity of the patrolman and believed it a little and continued to ask if there were any witnesses. An eyewitness. Hearing that the chief had begun to believe what he said, the patrolman immediately said, this time, it was my subordinate and the little boy Chinos Tsutomu here who saw it together. Yes, that's him. It's obvious that Chief Xiaoyi also knew about it. After all, the Dash organization was alarmed by the false report of the monster yesterday. As a chief, he must know it very clearly. The patrolman nodded repeatedly and said, yes, that's him. He was the one who said he saw a monster yesterday and caused a commotion. That lying boy. Xiaoyi was still angry and added this sentence on the spot. Then the chief gave the patrolman some more instructions. The patrolman didn't dare to refute the orders of his superiors and nodded repeatedly. After reporting the matter, he hung up the phone. After reporting the situation to the superior, the patrolman helplessly apologized to Zayoi. "I shouldn't have said that about you yesterday. Let's do it this way. Let's forget about it. We didn't see anything, we didn't hear anything, and we must not tell anyone about it. Let's do it this way." After he finished speaking, he saw that Zayoi was still looking at him stubbornly, obviously not accepting this result, so he continued to comfort him and said, "Life is like this." However, the young man was full of vigor and blood. How could he be as smooth and tactful as the older patrolman? The young man is always like this, full of passion and vigor. Unlike the old patrolman, who was smoothed by life and was like a round bead, Zayoi was like a stone with sharp edges and corners, and could not tolerate the oppression of society. "But I saw it. I want to tell Dash." Zayoi grabbed the phone and called the Dash organization at lightning speed. After a commotion, the Dash field duo came to the beach again. "It seems that Bolton is not some vicious alien." "Why do you say that?" Peter scratched his head and said, "Although this is irresponsible, this is indeed my first feeling. I seem to be able to feel its heart. Its heart is different from the Godler who appeared before. I did not feel the desire for destruction and destruction from it, only peace and curiosity about this world. Just like Kofu. Welcome to Earth." Hikari nodded, his eyes filled with a hint of expectation. "I hope this time, it is a story of Earthlings and Bolton making friends. In this way, Kofu's efforts will not be in vain, and Kofu must be looking forward to all this happening. Of course, Kofu's soul must continue to watch over the beautiful earth and the breeze, looking forward to the birth of the future he longs for." 11,000 words. Done. I will finish Maximum's story as soon as possible, and finish Maximum's story with 20,000 words tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, and then enter the Hikari legend, or the Ultra Galaxy legend. Chapter 309. You guys are meddling too much. The video continues. The two people who were on a public date. No, they were on a field trip, and they conducted an investigation on the beach with instruments, and transmitted all the data to the headquarters of the Dash organization. "I asked Professor Yoshinaga of the UDF to analyze your information." Zayoi. Ruxi took the DSAH communicator and let Zio-man have a video conversation with Professor Yoshinaga directly. Professor Aki Yoshinaga said to Zio-yi with full energy, "Zio-man, from our analysis results, just like coconuts drifting ashore from distant islands along the tide, it may also be a kind of rolled shell drifting from the South China Sea. Or it may be the empty shell of a giant hermit crab. As for the policeman's inability to move his whole body, it should be due to excessive tension. As for the sudden disappearance you mentioned, it probably looks like it disappeared suddenly when it was swept away by the waves." Hearing this, the patrolman turned his head embarrassedly. He was a policeman, but he actually had hallucinations because of excessive tension, and he also lost such a big person. The patrolman walked away silently and stepped on Zio-yi when he left. "Ah, it hurts. It hurts. Okay, that's it." Kato patted Zio-yi's shoulder, still with a gentle and kind smile on his face, without any dissatisfaction or impatience. "We'll leave first. If you have any questions, you can always come to us." After saying goodbye to Ruxi Kato, the patrolman took Zio-yi to the hut, where he was on guard and ate ramen. While eating, the patrolman muttered, "By the way, it might be seaweed. It must be seaweed. Definitely seaweed." After the patrolman finished comforting himself, he also comforted Zio-yi beside him. "Zio-yi, there is no incredible thing in this world." The patrolman's gentle comfort did not calm Zio-yi's mood, but completely aroused Zio-yi's dissatisfaction. Not being understood is a very painful thing. When you are not understood and are persuaded by others, this pain will be doubled, and children in adolescence usually cannot be stimulated. They are full of energy and have sharp edges and corners. The resistance is extremely strong at this time. When both situations occur to a person at the same time, it is best not to persuade this person. The more you persuade, the more angry he will be. Zio-yi. The patrolman sat back helplessly. He had also experienced this time and knew that it would be better to let him go alone to calm down. Mental health education for teenagers is urgent. Bruce Wayne sighed. He already had new ideas for Gotham, such as starting with children. In Gotham, 99% of the poor are alcoholics, smokers, and drug addicts. And 99% of these bad habits are developed in childhood. In the childhood of these people, it is very likely that they started to smoke drugs at the age of 11 or 12 and started to drink alcohol at the age of 13 or 14. As for cigarettes, they smoked even earlier. Cities like Gotham have problems from the bottom of their hearts. Violence and crime are everywhere in this city, and even newborn babies are inevitable. Bad habits developed in childhood are the most difficult to correct, and this is also the deepest conspiracy of this city. Those businessmen only need to make them develop the habit of alcoholism when they are still children. When they grow up, they will pay at least hundreds of thousands of dollars for it. In addition, they have to work for them, work hard in the factory, and the meager compensation they get in the end is mostly returned to their bosses in exchange for a glass of low-quality alcoholic beverage. One thing leads to another, and everything is locked. What should I do? Build a school? It's useless. Gotham is too sick. If you want to eradicate the problems here, you must turn the whole Gotham upside down. Then, by Gotham, the video continues. Zhao has been thinking about what happened in the past 2 days. He clearly saw it with his own eyes. Even the patrolman experienced it personally this time. Why do they all say it didn't happen? These adults are too weird. Zhao walked along the beach alone, very depressed. When he was tired, he lay on the beach and sulked. At this moment, a blue-yellow light suddenly fell beside him and turned into a palm-sized lobster man, waving his lobster claws to greet Zhao. Zhao subconsciously did a carp somersault, but then he was attracted by the other party. He lay in front of the little monster and asked, "Are you a turtle?" The little monster shook its big claws to indicate that it was not. Zhao immediately continued to ask, "Is it an octopus? No. Is it a crab? Is it a shrimp? No. Is it a squid, a jellyfish, or a ray? No. Is it a crocodile? A lizard? A chameleon?" Zhao almost talked about all the animals he knew, but the little monster kept waving his big claws to indicate that he was not the animals the other party was talking about. None of these. Zhao looked at the other party and saw that the other party looked like a cicada, so he asked tentatively, "Is it a cicada?" As a result, the little monster's big claws shook more vigorously, and it made a laugh similar to that of a human little girl, as if it was amused by Zhao words. The little monster suddenly turned into a ray of light and fell on Zhao shoulder, which scared Zhao, but he felt that the other party did not seem to have any malicious intentions, so Zhao gradually put his mind at ease. "I'm Bolton, and I finally meet you." Bolton. After hearing the other party's introduction, Zhao was confused. He had never heard of such a planet. The Bolton star continued to introduce himself and said, "I'm a young astronaut from Bolton, a planet outside the distant Milky Way, who came to save the Earth from crisis." Then it landed on the conch house next to it again and introduced, "This is the spaceship I took." Don't talk nonsense. How can you use this toy to travel between the universe? Zhao looked at the conch house that was only half a meter high and said with disbelief. The Bolton said, "With the technological level of our planet Bolton, traveling through the universe is a piece of cake." Seeing that Zhao didn't believe him, the Bolton got off his spaceship, waved his 2 disproportionately large claws, and chanted a few strange syllables, "Barulu." Then a golden energy was released, wrapping the conch-like spaceship, and the spaceship disappeared in front of Zhao. Zhao was stunned. Is this science? He thought it was more like magic. Suddenly, Zhao remembered what Bolton had just said about coming to save the Earth, and asked quickly, "You just said that the Earth is in crisis? I'm so surprised. As an Earthling, you don't even know that the Earth is facing a crisis?" Bolton said in shock. "Excessive economic activities and never-ending wars have made human beings unable to take care of themselves, and they are still thinking about invading the moon and Mars. You humans are really too greedy, and the hawkish Dark Bolton on our planet intend to get rid of the greedy Earthlings and then invade the Earth. They are now preparing to attack the Earth. Although I don't deny what it said, isn't this a bit too nosy? After all, this is our Earth's business. What does it have to do with you, Bolton?" "What? Hawkish Dark Bolton? Attack the Earth? I'm a dovish Bolton, and I'm here as a messenger to inform humans of your crisis." The little Bolton stated the purpose of his coming to Earth. The Bolton's messenger, Zio-Yi, listened to the other party's words and felt that it was just a fairy tale. He began to disbelieve it again, thinking that the other party was lying. He smiled and said, "Others say that I'm a liar, but your ability to lie seems to be one level higher than mine. What I said is true. Our Bolton planet has been destroyed by a stupid nuclear war. If we don't evolve to this, we can't survive." Bolton said sincerely, "It seems to be true when you say that." Zio-Yi believed the other party a little again. Bolton jumped directly onto Zio-Yi's palm. Zio-Yi quickly reached out to hold the palm-sized Bolton, fearing that he would fall down. Bolton said sincerely, "I want Dash's Taumakato to come out. He will definitely understand. So this is why you involved me?" Zio-Yi immediately figured out everything. Sorry. Bolton immediately apologized and said, "Because someone has been interrupting me, my plan has always been unsuccessful. By the way, are you willing to act with me?" Act with you? I don't mind, but you." Zio-Yi looked at the other person's palm-sized height and the obvious appearance of a small monster, and was not optimistic about his proposal at all. If he walked on the street with such a small monster, it would definitely cause a sensation. Maybe the little Bolton in front of him would be captured for research and dissection. You know, this kind of thing has happened before. I see. You are worried about my current appearance. Then I will transform. Barulu. The little Bolton recited the spell again, and a burst of golden light enveloped him. He jumped from Zio-Yi's palm to the ground, and then turned into a cute girl with short hair in school uniform, looking at Zio-Yi with a smile. Dark Bolton, nuclear war? Hikari looked at the miniature Bolton on the screen, thinking constantly in his heart. 3,000 words. One update. Today is still 10,000 words. Chapter 310. You call this science? According to what we know, the Bolton planet in our universe was also destroyed by a nuclear war, but the Bolton people in our universe looked like that from the beginning, not because they had to evolve, because of the nuclear war. Moreover, the Bolton people in our universe are not divided into so-called hawks and doves, but continue to reproduce on a planet called our Wanda. I still care more about their reasons for aggression. What do you mean by saying that we humans have done so many evil things and are too greedy that they want to destroy us? What does this have to do with them? Wanda, the Ultraman of the Kingdom of Light, did not intervene, so why should they intervene? The video continues. Zio-Yi looked up and down at the other person and said in surprise, "So you are a girl? Call me Wee Wee." The little Bolton said with a smile. "Wee Wee?" Zio-Yi repeated the name. He didn't think anything of it before, but now that the other person has become a cute girl, he began to be shy. "I'm a girl on Bolton. If you don't like it, how about I become a boy?" Wee Wee suggested. No. Zio-Yi waved her hand and said quickly, "It would be better to act with such a super cute girl." She smiled and said, "Then let's act now." After that, she stretched out her hand and grabbed in the air. A burst of golden energy flashed, and a broom appeared in her hand, exactly the same as the flying broom in Harry Potter. Zio-Yi looked at it strangely and asked, "What is this? Aren't we going to act? This is very fast. I haven't sat on it before. Now I really want to try it. Come on up quickly." Then she sat on the flying broom and invited Zio-Yi. Seeing this, Zio-Yi followed and sat on the flying broom. Barulu. Wee Wee chanted the spell again, and a golden energy was released. Suddenly, the flying broom flew into the sky. Wee Wee was very happy, but Zio-Yi was very scared. He never thought that this broom could fly. Seeing himself flying in the air, farther and farther from the ground, he screamed in fear, but Wee Wee was very excited. He flew above the clouds, and flew until the evening, and only landed when he was satisfied. Wanda, is this really science? Peter Parker, it looks like the flying broom in Harry Potter. Tony Stark, I guess this should be some kind of anti-gravity aircraft. When the Cheetah people attacked the Earth, the aircraft they took had this anti-gravity device. Although their aircraft was rubbish in all aspects, the anti-gravity flight device still had some production value. Peter Parker, is this really not magic? Why did they make the aircraft look like a broom? Tony Stark. Bruce Wayne. A Gwang, probably, maybe, probably because of personal hobby. Strange, wait, aren't they going to report to Dash so that they can find Maximum Ultraman's human body Kato Talma to help? How come they are playing? Strange, it's been from dusk to night. Bruce Wayne silently made another note in his mind. Unless there is no other way, important tasks must never be given to teenagers. They are too unstable. The video continues. Fortunately, they finally remembered their mission, which is to inform Kato Talma, that is, Maximum Ultraman, that the Hawk faction Dark Bolton is going to attack the Earth. So they went to the amusement park, and a group of people screamed in fear on the roller coaster. We chanted the spell again, and a golden energy was emitted. Suddenly, the roller coaster went off the track and flew into the air. Seeing this, Xiaoyi quickly called the Dash organization to report the incident. The roller coaster is flying into the sky. After a while, the Dash organization sent people over, still the field CP team. After they came over, they reported the matter. Professor Yoshinaga on the opposite side explained, if all the passengers have the same hallucination, then this is a collective hysteria hallucination, a sense of deja vu. How can I describe everyone's current mood? It's quite complicated. Strange covered his face and sent a barrage to explain. Strange, there is really a term called collective hysteria hallucination. This is a sociological and psychological term used to refer to the phenomenon that collective panic illusions spread rapidly through rumors and other means. In medicine, it is also used to refer to the phenomenon that more than one person unconsciously has similar actual symptoms. Common collective hysteria is manifested as a group of people believing that they have the same disease. That is, collective psychogenic disease or epidemic hysteria. Wanda, can't we just transform into her true self? Wouldn't it be better this way? Loki Odinson, stupid, have you forgotten what happened to that Kofu? Wanda, Peter Parker, that's why Kofu's actions are so important and shocking. Because of distrust and fear, humans and aliens have never been able to build a bridge of trust, which even led to the inability to report extremely important intelligence, and may even lead to the destruction of the Earth. Peter Parker, and all this is because of trust. Constantine, so it seems that what the Metron Star said makes sense. Image continues after hearing Professor Yoshinaga's explanation. Xiaoyi immediately returned the communicator to Ruxi in Great Depression. He thought that this time would definitely attract the attention of the Dash organization, but they actually regarded this matter as their illusion. Xiaoyi said to Wei unwillingly, Wei, why don't you do what you just did again, and let them see it with their own eyes, so that they will believe it. Wei shook her head and said, no, if it happens again, the roller coaster may lose control, and cannot return to the original track. In that case, someone will be injured or even die. Xiaoyi was helpless when he heard this. Ruiz walked to Kato and said, it seems that our Dash should not have appeared today. They appeared on the scene twice today, and Xiaoyi reported the case both times, but unfortunately both times were misunderstandings. This time, even Kato didn't believe Xiaoyi, but he still didn't blame Xiaoyi. He just patted Xiaoyi on the shoulder and told him that maybe he was wrong. I will try to finish writing Dark Bolton as soon as possible and then enter the finale. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 311 Shocked First Generation, Early Tomioka Kenzo. Xiaoyi heard this and felt even more depressed. He thought to himself that you didn't understand it yourself. But if Wei didn't explain it directly, he had no way to prove that there were hawkish Dark Boltons coming to invade the Earth. After Talma Kato finished speaking, he turned and left, but at this time he looked at Wei. Wei felt his gaze and looked at him, but she didn't tell him in the end, but looked away. The next day, Xiaoyi called the police again. This time, the police and the Dash organization came. A policeman named Gukaro kept flying paper planes. Normally, these paper planes would fall down after flying for a while, but now above their heads, a large number of paper planes were flying freely in the air, and none of them fell down. They were so dense that they looked very beautiful. Zhao had already looked at Wei Wei in surprise. He could be sure that this was definitely made by Wei Wei, but he didn't know how it was made. Infinite motion. This is exactly the infinite motion that humans have always dreamed of. It's so amazing, but it's impossible. Scene said in disbelief as he looked at the densely packed paper planes flying in the air. The people from the Dash organization this time are not Kato and Mizuki. They probably don't trust Zayoi anymore. The Kingdom of Light. Gukyo. 7 took 2 steps forward. He was sure that the old policeman who was flying paper planes was his old buddy on Earth, the super soldier of the Ultra Guard, and a member of the Ultra Guard whose physical fitness was stronger than Ultraman in a sense. Gukyo. I remember. The first generation suddenly said, isn't the Dr. Yoshinaga before Akiko? In the screening room, no one noticed these 2 points. They were all attracted by the infinite motion. Tony Stark. I tend to think it's something like an anti-gravity device. Bruce Wayne. It would be great if I could draw some Bolton technology this time. Tony Stark. I still need to draw. I can make those things myself. Bruce Wayne. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will win every battle. Infinite motion is impossible. There must be some secret here that we haven't discovered. Muting said in disbelief, as if he had discovered something amazing. Officer Gukyo, who was flying paper planes, looked at the paper planes hovering above his head and said with emotion, I have wanted to fly freely in the sky since I was a child. Flying paper planes here every day is my only pleasure. At that time, this was not a building, but a huge pine tree. I often climbed up the pine tree because if it was high, the plane could fly farther. He said with a sigh, looking at the paper planes that had been flying in the air without falling, as if he had seen a miracle. However, for this abnormal phenomenon, Professor Ming Yoshinaga appeared again and began to explain. For this phenomenon, it may be because there was an updraft nearby, or because the scenery was too amazing, so many witnesses were intoxicated by it. The second half of her words meant that these people had hallucinations again, or were hypnotized, or even had abnormal brains. However, this made the members of the Dash organization talk about it. Scene immediately explained, no, I'm fine, I'm not crazy. Muting also said, no one hypnotized me. It's been so long, but none of the paper planes here fell down. It's really incredible. After hearing the words of the 2 Dash members, Zio-Man on the side knew that this time it would definitely attract their attention. As long as they began to explore the reasons for this situation, they would definitely find the real reason behind it, and then their goal would be achieved. Thinking of this, Zio-Man said to Wei Wei, what are you going to do next? Wei Wei said, you explain it next. Let me explain. After hearing this, Zio-Man shook his head and said, how can I explain it clearly? I don't even know what you did to prevent these paper planes from falling. How can I explain it to them? Wei Wei smiled and said, it doesn't matter. I will say it with your mouth. After hearing Wei Wei's words, Zio-Man became even more confused. Say it with my mouth. My mouth is on my face. How can you say it with my mouth? However, Wei Wei did not explain too much. The pupils of her eyes suddenly turned golden. It was obvious that she had used some kind of skill, as if she was capturing a soul or possessed by a ghost. Zio-Man's pupils also turned golden and immediately returned to their original color. A confident look appeared on his face. If you don't touch these paper planes, they will keep flying in the air, he said, and when Zio-Man suddenly spoke, everyone present looked at Zio-Man. Scene even came up to Zio-Man and asked, Zio-Man, do you know what's going on? Zio-Man nodded and said, well, there is a gravity gap here, and these paper planes are in this gravity gap. After hearing Zio-Man's words, the Dash team members became even more confused. They are all excellent people with rich knowledge, but this gravity gap is the first time they have heard of it. Who would understand this? What is the gravity gap? With the level of technology on Earth, it is difficult to explain. On the planet Bolton, which is far away from the Milky Way, there is technology that can control gravity. What? Hearing this, the 2 members of the Dash organization were shocked. They were not only shocked by the existence of such a magical technology that can control gravity, but also shocked by the unknown planet Bolton that Zio-Man had learned from him. Bolton outside the Milky Way. Is there such a planet? We controlled Zio mind to nod and said, not only is there, but the people on the planet Bolton are preparing to invade the Earth. If you agree with what you see now, please believe me. We finally said her purpose. Finally getting to the point. Peter was relieved to see this. Before this, the performance of this pair of Crouching Dragon and Phoenix made him worried. These two children really took this matter too lightly. These two kids, really? There must be something unspeakable. After all, the Earth in this world is not very kind to aliens other than Ultraman. Image continues. Seen and muting were shocked when they heard this. They never expected that there was an alien from a planet outside the distant Milky Way preparing to invade their Earth. This is a big deal and must be reported to the headquarters as soon as possible. As for what the headquarters thinks, it is not up to them to decide. The duo immediately returned to the headquarters and explained everything they knew to the UDF's highest commander, Kenzo Tomioka. Hayata-kun. The first generation was shocked. JPG. Since separating from Hayata, the first generation began to use Hayata's appearance as the form of his human body. At this moment, after seeing the old version of Hayata, that is, Kenzo Tomioka, the first generation was far more shocked than when he first saw Seven, a patrolman who was 7 points similar to Leo's human body, Feng Yuan. In this universe, it seems that many of our old acquaintances have appeared. The first generation thought for a while and said, Hayata-kun, Akiko, Seven's partner Gukyo, Leo's human body Feng Yuan. Will there be another old acquaintance who will appear next? In that case, will there be Bidao-nan in this universe? Ace was a little excited when he heard this. He had to take Bidao away back then, and he witnessed the separation of Bidao and Nan with his own eyes. If Bidao and Nan were not separated in this world, but lived together, such as opening a bakery, it would be great. Then, will there be me and Anu? Seven was even more yearning at this moment. Now he is still an older bachelor, and the only concern in his heart is Anu. It would be great if Xiang in this world is a racing driver and he can be with Akiko Sakata. Perhaps out of tribute, the heroines of the first generation and Jack are both named Akiko, but the first generation is Akiko Toyama and Jack is Akiko Sakata. Compared with the other brothers, Jack is obviously more uncomfortable psychologically. After leaving the Earth with Xiang, Jack and Xiang's consciousness merged more thoroughly. Unlike the first generation who separated from Hayata, Seven, who was actually Zyuxing Tuan, and had a serious relationship with Anu, whose main consciousness was separated from Bidao's consciousness more clearly, and Ace who had possessed Bidao and Nanzizi at the same time. Jack missed Sakata Akiko even more. Because this yearning was mixed with a sense of guilt. Sakata Akiko died because of him. Jack. Mr. Sakata Akiko's brother was hit and killed by a car driven by a knuckle star, and later Akiko was dragged by a car driven by a knuckle star for dozens of meters. To assassinate the alien knuckle star, this old silver coin made a whole set of plans to deal with Jack. In the end, he not only killed Xiang's lover and Xiang's brother-in-law, but also captured Jack on the knuckle star to prepare for execution. If the first generation Seven had not come to rescue, Xiang and Jack would really be dead. After returning to Earth, Jack was furious and smashed the knuckle and the bodyguard monster Black King, but they were gone, and there was nothing he could do. But looking at the emotional line, none of the M78 Ultraman who went to Earth could compare. Leo is from the neighboring L77 nebula, so he is not included. Although they miss each other, they are all old monsters who have lived for tens of thousands of years. The AO soon woke up and turned to think about the Bolton. 3,000 words. 3 updates. Today I have updated 3 plus 2 plus 3 equals 8,000 words, and I will finish with another 10,000 words. Chapter 312 Noah's Ark. Video continues. After listening to their reports carefully, Hayatomiya Kenzo Tomita pondered for a long time, before he stood up and said, Hijikata, I attach great importance to the boy who told you all this. He has reported abnormalities to us several times before. After what happened before, many people said that he was a liar and did not believe him, but he still reported abnormal conditions to us. What exactly does he want to tell us? Or what does he want to say to us? Captain Hijikata thought for a moment and said seriously, since yesterday, he has appeared in several places where abnormalities occurred. Considering the speed of a child, this is really too fast. After listening to this, Professor Aki Yoshinaga smiled and explained, there are several children who look the same. This has entered the field of science fiction. I feel that there is a person behind this child, but I don't know who the other person is. I can only feel his existence, but I don't know who he is. Kato? Mizuki looked at Kato with a serious face and said this, a little curious. You know, Kato is a little silly at ordinary times, but it is impossible for him to say such irresponsible words casually. Screening room. Something is wrong. Constantine had just finished smoking a cigarette of an unknown brand, but it tasted good. He then threw the cigarette butt into an empty ashtray and looked at Professor Yoshinaga on the screen and said, Professor Yoshinaga, isn't our explanation a bit too deliberate? If it is a world where there have never been monsters, aliens, and magic, it is normal for a scientific researcher to say such things. But in a world where monsters and aliens appear frequently, isn't it a bit bad to say such things? If we use Professor Yoshinaga's logic to explain the previous periods of time, it can also be explained. Strange said, just like the amusement park roller coaster incident, although this explanation is far-fetched, it is indeed a mental illness caused by complications of mass hysteria. In addition, people were riding roller coasters at the time and were highly nervous. In this case, collective hallucinations would indeed occur. The previous monster phantoms and Bolton spaceships are also reasonable in their explanation logic. In addition, the same child has always reported the case, and each time he reported what they thought was wrong information, which made them more determined in their logic. What I care about more now is another thing. That is why the Bolton didn't tell Dash directly. If it can be understood that the people who were afraid of Dash directly captured and dissected her, then why didn't they just manipulate a few more people to report to Dash? 3 people make a tiger. As long as more people report, even if they don't believe it, they will pay more attention to this aspect. The video continues. Zio Yi asked the question in his heart, which was also the question in the hearts of everyone in the screening room. Why don't you directly reveal your identity to the Dash organization, or create more strange events like the previous ones, so that the people in the Dash organization can believe you? On the beach, Zio Yi asked Wei with a puzzled look on his face. He had been struggling with this question for a long time, and only asked it now. Wei just smiled when she heard this, and did not directly answer Zio's question, but summoned her spaceship, and then she pointed to the half-meter high conch-shaped spaceship and said, this spaceship can be called the Ark of our Dove Bolton people. Ark? Do you mean Noah's Ark? After hearing Wei's words, Zio thought about it and asked, yeah. Wei nodded and said, this spaceship has cloning and reproduction technology. As long as I survive, countless people of the same tribe will survive. The Dark Bolton people are also facing the problem of extinction. They are also eager to get this spaceship, so he must be looking for me now. If he knows that I'm on Earth, he will definitely come to hunt me down. If my behavior is too high profile, then the Dark Bolton people can sense my location, so I will borrow your identity to tell others that they are going to attack. So that's it. After hearing Wei's explanation, Zio finally understood why Wei had such a strong technological strength and was still so cautious. Not only to prevent the cloning technology from falling into the hands of Dark Bolton, but also to avoid leading Dark Bolton to Earth for her own reasons. This is also for the sake of Earthlings. Woo. At this moment, the conch-like spaceship issued an alarm and a red light, which immediately aroused Wei's vigilance. She quickly transformed into a ray of light and jumped into the spaceship, and then the entire spaceship disappeared directly on the spot. What's going on? Dark Bolton is chasing us? Fortunately, it was not Dark Bolton, but our old patrolman. The video continues. What's wrong? Zio had no idea what was going on, and asked, and at this time, saw a person running over, panting. It was the patrolman from before. Zio go and report it. Muster up your courage to report it to Dash. As long as you report it to them, they will definitely come. The patrolman walked up to Zio and said encouragingly, he had figured it out. Those strange things before did happen. As a patrolman, he pretended to be deaf and dumb, and pretended that it didn't happen. This was wrong. Instead, Zio insisted on doing the right thing. At the same time, after the Dash organization finished discussing, the field duo immediately drove to find Xiao Yi, because after discussing it, they felt that what Xiao Yi said was very likely to be true, and they absolutely could not sit idly by. Team Kato, you said in the meeting before that there was something behind Xiao Man. What is it? Roxy wanted to ask Kato in the meeting before, but she didn't have time until now. First of all, the two incredible things that Xiao Man reported to us before have one thing in common. Kato said while driving. What do they have in common? The key is gravity. Whether it's a roller coaster flying in the air or a paper airplane that never falls, it's all related to gravity. And then, I think this is an alien, and an alien whose science and technology far exceeds that of humans. Kato said with certainty. As soon as he said this, Roxy immediately paid attention. She said, there are indeed countless planets in the universe. There are indeed many people in the human world who don't believe in aliens. Even among those who believe in the existence of aliens, they think that, even if there are aliens, they can't be smarter than the people on Earth. This is simply too arrogant. So, the aliens living in the universe don't necessarily have any good feelings towards the people on Earth. Just when the two field CPs rushed to find Xiaoi, the Dash organization was being attacked by aliens. 10,000 words are done. Tomorrow's update may be a little difficult, because I have to take the teacher qualification exam, so it may be very watery. If you have money, please support me by subscribing and giving me a meal. If you don't have money, please support me and wish me all the answers I guessed in the comprehensive quality test tomorrow will be correct. Chapter 313, Giant Dark Bolton. The video continues. Captain Hijikata hummed a little tune and walked into the command room quickly. He immediately saw an incredible scene. All the people and even the objects in the command room were floating in the air, as if there was no gravity in the command room. Before he could finish being surprised, his body was floating uncontrollably. Captain. The others were floating in the air. All the people and objects in the command room were flying in the air. The room was glowing with a faint red light. Scene fell over and couldn't even turn over. Muting tried to grab something to stabilize his body, at least to stop floating down. The most unlucky Coco, because she was the lightest and had no way to use force. She hit the ceiling many times and finally crashed on the spot. Only Ellie was relatively stable in the whole audience. She sat on the chair in the same posture and did not move, and then she and the chair floated in the air together. Captain Hijikata waved his limbs and asked in a daze, muting, what happened here? I don't know, Captain, it just happened all of a sudden. Muting said in a daze. The cosmic people reacted strongly. The cosmic people reacted strongly. The cosmic people reacted strongly. The robot Ellie kept repeating this sentence. This zero-gravity environment is really hard to deal with. Tony touched his chin. It was easier for him to deal with this zero-gravity environment. The iron suit had a power propulsion system, and under Jarvis's precise calculation, he could move without obstacles. Thor had a hammer, so it wasn't a big problem, but it was more troublesome for others. The anti-5 Tiger suits made for the captain before could be improved. For example, make a color matching of Captain America with the same style as Rhodes, and Clint, Natasha, and Banner. Forget it. But this zero-gravity environment can indeed be used to deal with Hulk. If Hulk is trapped in a zero-gravity vacuum environment, then no matter how powerful Hulk is, he will not cause any severe damage. However, if Hulk uses exhalation as a power device, it will be a bit troublesome. In an instant, Tony not only considered how to deal with the anti-gravity device, but also how to use the anti-gravity device. Although this guy's not good, his brain is really good. Hahaha, everyone, how does it feel to be in a zero-gravity amusement park? At this moment, the figure of an alien suddenly appeared on the big screen in their control room. He laughed hoarsely and teasingly, as if he was mocking their low strength. This mysterious alien who suddenly appeared immediately attracted everyone's attention. Then he heard the alien continue to say, I'm an alien who came here from the extragalactic planet Bolton. This alien actually revealed his identity. Hearing this, Captain Hijikata immediately asked the robot Ellie, Ellie, is there any information about Bolton in the file? Ellie is freezing. Seeing this, Muting quickly floated in front of Ellie and called twice, and waved his hand, but Ellie did not respond at all. Captain, It's no good, Ellie seems to be out of order. Captain Hijikata frowned when he heard this. He had hoped to get some information about Bolton from Ellie, but now even Ellie has failed. At this time, the Bolton on the screen continued to say arrogantly, "I'm a righteous alien who came to destroy the Earthlings. The evil Earthlings who constantly destroy the environment and even dream of taking action on the moon and Mars are unforgivable public enemies of the universe." What? Public enemy of the universe? Hearing Bolton's words, the usually very steady Captain Hijikata repeated these words in disbelief. He had never expected that this alien from Bolton would have such strong hostility towards them, the Earthlings, to the point of being the public enemy of the entire universe. It seemed that this Bolton must be their enemy. Upon hearing this, the others also showed angry looks towards this Bolton. Bolton saw the angry expressions on their faces and sneered, "Don't underestimate the power of us, Bolton. Your current situation is just a greeting from me. Now look at this wonderful scene." Amid the Bolton's rampant laughter, his figure gradually disappeared and was replaced by a real-time video of a place in their city. Many pedestrians and cars were seen floating in the air. They were all panicked and screamed in fear. They had no idea why they suddenly lost gravity and floated in the air. They wanted to return to the ground, but there was no gravity here. They could not return to the ground no matter what. There was even a big shark swimming with them in the air. Everyone was even more frightened when they saw this. At this time, the voice of the Bolton was heard again on the screen. "Don't worry, I just cut off the gravity a little bit. Just a little prank." In the city, the huge figure of Bolton gradually emerged. He was so huge that he was even taller than the surrounding high-rise buildings. In front of him, these high-rise buildings became as small as toys. The people who were floating in the air because of the loss of gravity were already very scared. Now they saw such a huge monster suddenly appearing, and they were even more scared. In the screening room, Tony listened to Bolton's words and suddenly his face looked a little weird. He finally knew why he had an inexplicable sense of deja vu before. Isn't this American justice? Wanda, isn't this American justice? First, he stood on the moral high ground to accuse others, and then he outputted to others. He was a guy who showed his fangs under the banner of justice. Peter Parker, it seems that I really shouldn't consider cooperating with the government. Logan, of course not. You should never try to test their bottom line and limit, because that thing is simply bottomless. Kingdom of Light. This Bolton is the same as the Bolton from our world. The first generation looked at the Bolton on the screen, who was laughing in the city, and said, "The strength of the Bolton family is quite different. The strength of the Bolton from this universe is unknown compared to the Bolton from our universe, but the technological strength is even different." Today, I will update to chapters of 4,000 words. Teaching qualifications are more important. Thank you for your support and encouragement. The plot of Dark Bolton is almost finished. The next scenes will be mainly fighting. You can just watch the fighting scenes. Chapter 314 High energy fighting scenes ahead. At the same time, Kato and Ruxy received Xiaoya's call and returned to the headquarters of the Dash organization, wanting to find out what happened. Sitting in the back seat of the car, Xiaoya kept looking around. He was looking for Wee Wee. Wee Wee had just disappeared, but he knew that Wee Wee must be hiding in a corner nearby, but he couldn't see her now. If he was in a deserted place, he would definitely shout Wee Wee's name loudly to call her out, but now, Kato and Ruxy were in front of him. If Wee Wee appeared directly, she would definitely be recognized as an alien by the two Dash members, which would be very troublesome, so he just looked around, but didn't say anything. It was Ruxy who was driving. She drove the car quickly on the city road, but she suddenly had a bad premonition, because it was daytime. Normally, there should be many vehicles on this road, but now, there was not a single car here. In such a big city, it seemed that they were the only car. This was too weird. Kato also discovered this strange scene. He kept looking out the window to see what happened. Boom. But at this moment, their car seemed to have suddenly hit a wall. The front of the car was dented. The engine seemed to have a short circuit problem due to the collision just now, and it emitted a burst of sparks and thick smoke. Xiaoya, who was sitting in the back seat of the car, rolled 3 times in the car because of the collision. Fortunately, the collision was not very severe, otherwise he would definitely be injured. Mizuki and Kato also almost flew out of the car because of the collision. Fortunately, they were wearing seatbelts. What happened? The field duo looked confused. This was a bridge without any obstacles, but at this moment it was like hitting a wall. Kato, look over there. Roxy looked up and was shocked because she saw a huge black crayfish with a shadow that covered the sky and a terrifying cry. It was obvious that this guy was not a creature on Earth. She said, that guy must have done it. Ah, it's Bolton. At this time, Zayoi finally got up and saw the huge monster in front of him and couldn't help but screamed. Kato heard this and immediately knew that this monster must be the source of a series of strange things that happened recently. It was his turn to take action. Without thinking, he opened the car door and ran towards the place where the monster was. But after just 2 steps, he got into a transparent energy film and emitted a burst of energy light. Their car should have hit this transparent energy film before it stopped. After passing through the energy film, Kato's body flew up uncontrollably like everyone else. It seemed that this place had been transformed into a zero-gravity area by Bolton. As long as you enter this area, you will not be affected by gravity. The Bolton seemed to have discovered Kato, who had entered his zero-gravity domain. He controlled gravity to suck Kato towards him. Seeing that Kato was in a bad situation, Roxy also began to worry. However, Zayoi looked at the huge Bolton through the car window and said in confusion, "Wee?" He seemed to have mistaken the Bolton in front of him for Wee. Seeing that he was about to be caught by Bolton, Kato was not panicked at all. It was not the first time for him to deal with such a monster. While in midair, he took out the maximum spark and activated the energy in it. A dazzling light appeared, and he transformed into Maximum Ultraman. Seeing Kato take out maximum spark without thinking and transform directly, Hikari said helplessly, "So this kid doesn't consider the possibility of being exposed?" Constantine took out a cigarette from his pocket at this moment, lit it again, took a deep breath, and blew 2 streams of white smoke from his nose. He seemed to be muttering to himself, and seemed to be saying to everyone, "Maximum Ultraman is a good friend and comrade of mankind. Tauma Kato is an excellent team member, and they are all protecting the safety of the Earth. Separately, they are all objects that the Earthlings can trust, but when they are combined into one, can the Earthlings still trust them?" Constantine seemed to have a hint. He stared at Peter's direction calmly. After seeing that Peter didn't react much, he still didn't say anything. This child is still a little too young. In fact, Peter heard Constantine's words. After integrating Ultraman's light, his physical fitness has been improved in all aspects, including hearing. Peter could feel that Constantine was referring to him, but he still needed some time to think about what would happen if a human suddenly became an Ultraman. The video continues. "Are you here, Ultraman Maximum?" Bolton was not afraid of Ultraman Maximum at all, and said calmly, as if he had met an old friend, "Ultraman Maximum was in a zero-gravity energy field. He could not adapt to such a completely zero-gravity situation for a while. He could not even stand still in this energy field. His body was crooked and even walking became a problem." Seeing this, Bolton immediately swung his huge pincers and launched a red energy attack at Ultraman Maximum. Bolton's signature skill, Red Freezing Ray. In theory, the Red Freezing Ray has the ability to freeze everything. Although it is only theoretical, the Red Freezing Ray of Bolton seems to be able to freeze everything. Even after Maximum Ultraman was attacked by this attack, the whole Ultraman was frozen. Not only Maximum, but also the vehicles and buildings floating in the air behind him. Everything was frozen, just like the pause button was pressed on the video being played. At this moment, the whole world seemed to be frozen. From the perspective of Bolton, Maximum turned into a painting, a lifelike painting. The next second, a red light flashed in Maximum's body. Scar. Accompanied by a shocking war cry, Maximum successfully broke free from the shackles of the red freezing light and regained his freedom. The author's wonderful ideas about shared trams 2.0. I rode a shared bicycle to the bus station today, and because the bus station was on the edge of the city, I was thinking that if I was riding the tram halfway and it suddenly locked me because I was out of the area, and then I was hit and killed by a car, how would this be judged? Chapter 315, Disdain of the Supreme Wisdom of the Universe. Image continues. Although Maximum broke through the restraint of the red freezing light and regained his freedom, he is still in the zero gravity energy field created by Bolton, and the situation is still very unfavorable to him. Maximum knows that, if he wants to defeat Dark Bolton, he must first break out of this zero gravity energy field. Now even walking is a problem. How can he fight Dark Bolton? Dark Bolton himself was a little shocked that Maximum Ultraman could break his energy restraint so quickly, but he immediately sneered and said to Maximum Ultraman, "Useless Maximum, with the science and technology of your Ultra family, it is impossible to win over our Bolton planet." Hickory, I'm offended. Hickory felt that his title of the most intelligent person in the universe was threatened at this moment, so he shot a life gasification ray with his bare hands, turning the entire Bolton planet into cosmic dust across the endless universe. Okay, just kidding. However, Hickory clearly expressed his dissatisfaction with Dark Bolton's words and decided to spend a few days to find the so-called gravity crack when he returned. After saying this, he used both of his large pincers to launch a red energy attack. This attack was obviously more powerful than before. The two red energy attacks hit Maximum, and he was beaten back continuously. There was even a violent explosion on his body. If Maximum Ultraman's defense was not strong enough, I'm afraid this attack would have killed him directly. Hey, Macro Bolton, you've gone too far. Xiaoi saw that Maximum Ultraman, who was protecting them, was beaten back step by step, and immediately got out of the car and shouted loudly at the huge Bolton. He still thought that the one who was attacking Maximum was Wei who had acted with him before. Ruiz was also very surprised to see Wei suddenly get out of their car and immediately asked, "Who are you? When did you get into our car?" Xiaoyi immediately introduced, "Let me introduce you. She is my friend." Wei lowered her head and said worriedly, "The Dark Bolton has come to Earth. What should we do?" After saying that, she looked at the huge Dark Bolton with a worried look, her eyes full of fear and worry. "Ah. So he is." After hearing Wei's words, Xiaoyi immediately understood that the huge monster was the Dark Bolton that Wei had been telling him about before, who was going to invade the Earth. If Dark Bolton knew I was here, he would kill me. For the conversation between the two little guys, Roxy was confused and had no idea what was going on. She immediately asked Xiaoi, "What's going on, Xiaomian? Tell me quickly." When the two friends in front of you keep talking about something extremely important, and you can understand every word separately, but you can't understand anything when they are put together, you will feel particularly annoyed. This is Rox's feeling at the moment. At this time, after Dark Bolton defeated Maximum Ultraman, he immediately continued to destroy. His body was his biggest weapon. His yellow eyes turned slightly, and the next second, an invisible telekinetic impact completely destroyed an oil refinery. This is Bolton's telekinetic manipulation, and Dark Bolton seems to have developed the ability to blast it. Flames and explosions bloomed everywhere on the ground, and this kind of destruction seemed to make Dark Bolton feel very excited. He walked in the violent explosions and flames, making a huge laugh. Scare. Ultraman Maximum once again flew over and stood in front of Dark Bolton, blocking his way forward. Now that he had left the zero gravity area, he could have a good fight with this Dark Bolton. Seeing this, the Dark Bolton said disdainfully, "Ultraman Maximum, you'd better stop it. Bolton's scientific strength is completely above you. Just watch." After saying that, the energy light in the eyes of the Dark Bolton flashed, as if he had activated a certain skill, and then his already huge body grew wildly again. In just a blink of an eye, he had become dozens of times larger, and was more than 1,000 meters tall. Even Ultraman Maximum seemed like an inconspicuous insect in front of such a huge Dark Bolton, and he had to look up at Dark Bolton. Maximum, who was ready for battle, said, "Little crayfish, you have no moral principles." Faced with such a powerful Dark Bolton, Roxy and Xiaoi were both terrified and shocked, as well as worried about Ultraman Maximum. The Dark Bolton lowered his head and looked down at the insect like Ultraman Maximum and said sarcastically, "Ultraman Maximum, you who use the energy of light should not be able to become so big. What do you think? If you want to become as big as me, your energy will not last even a minute." Dark Bolton, is he so strong? Body size does not represent strength, but such a huge body is really hard not to be afraid. There is a psychological disease called gigantophobia, which means that seeing an object larger than oneself will produce fear. And the Dark Bolton at this moment can be called the nightmare of gigantophobes. As the first of the 5 mountains, Mount Tay is only 1,500 meters above sea level, and the Dark Bolton at this moment is a full 1,000 meters. That is 2/3 of Mount Tay. Assuming that one floor is 3 meters, then a 333-story building can barely reach the height of Dark Bolton. At this moment, the human standing at the feet of Dark Bolton is no different from an ant standing at the feet of an African elephant. For this calculation, you can read this chapter. Faced with the ridicule of Dark Bolton and his abnormal strength, Ultraman Maximum was not afraid. Facing these hostile cosmic people, Ultraman Maximum was never afraid. He is Maximum, the fastest and strongest Maximum. Never give up easily. This is the Ultraman spirit. Maximum's head dart glowed, but before Maximum could fire it, the Dark Bolton on the other side had already anticipated his intention, and said disdainfully, "Maximum Ultraman, the head dart you fired is like a mosquito bite to me. It won't cause any harm to me." Before he finished speaking, he swung his huge pincers, like a huge hammer hitting an ant, and smashed down at Maximum. Fortunately, Maximum moved quickly, and dodged the opponent's fatal blow with a jump. This size can be so fast. Affected by air resistance and gravity, the larger the creature, the more difficult it is to move. But Dark Bolton completely ignored these factors, and the faster it swings under normal circumstances, the faster it is now. I roughly calculated that for an ant, let's take 7mm as the height. An adult man is 170. I'm 177, but I actually want to write 175 or 180. There is only one male in our class who is less than 170, and most of the rest are over 175. Anyway, it would take 285 ants stacked together to barely reach the height of a person, and the gap between Dark Bolton and humans would only get bigger. Chapter 316, Tregear, Hero, Can I Do It Too? This guy should have undergone a genetic modification surgery. Hikari finally showed his scientist attributes and began to analyze the situation of Dark Bolton. It's right. If Maximum in that world is the same as the Ultra Warriors in our universe, then he really can't move in supergiant form like Dark Bolton. Because of energy. Hikari said, the energy storage in the body of an Ultra Warrior is limited. Generally speaking, a height of about 50 meters is the normal height for activities. The activity time on Earth cannot exceed 3 minutes. In addition to the human body being unable to bear it, energy consumption is also a problem. Seven and the Ultra Brothers can ignore this rule. The reason why he can maintain the form of Ultraman for a long time on Earth is because Seven's human body, Atsuna, is a transformation of Seven himself, and Maximum and Kato Talma have merged. If the fusion mode is maintained for a long time, not only will the energy not be able to hold up, but Kato's body will also be injured. Hikari told everyone, we have a newcomer in the Science and Technology Bureau. His name is Tregear. He is now my apprentice. He is a very talented young man. He is currently developing a transformation prop that can make Ultraman and the human body have the same mind. This prop can solve the problem of damage to the human body caused by too long a transformation time. If he succeeds, he will promote the connection between the Ultra Clan and the various races in the universe, and he himself will become a hero who promotes universe peace and transmits the bond of light, the kingdom of light. Hero. Me. Tregear listened to Hikari's evaluation of him, and a warm current flowed from his heart to every corner of his body. If that's the case, I can also stand shoulder to shoulder with Taro. Of course it's you. Hikari said it's you. So you are. Ace came up and hit him with a 3-hit combo. Don't you still believe in Hikari? Tarikia said with a look of panic. Of course I believe in Commander Hikari, but I'm just an ordinary, uneducated scientific researcher, and Commander Hikari is a great scientist who has won the meteor medal many times. I may not be qualified for this position. Tregear, you can do it, you can do it. Zophie, who has not yet put on the red robe and joined the nursing home of the Kingdom of Light, walked up to Tarikia and said, Hikari has mentioned you to me more than once, saying that you are his most promising successor. If it weren't for the appearance of the screening room, he would have resigned and handed over the position of director of the Science and Technology Bureau to you. But okay. Zoffy waved his hand and took off a meteor metal from his shoulder. I will now give you this meteor metal, Tarikia. No. Captain Zoffy. Tarikia quickly waved his hand to refuse. This is the meteor metal, which can only those who have made great contributions to the Kingdom of Light can get it. Zoffy smiled and said, how can I not know the meteor metal as well as you? Tarikia, I have a circle of meteor metals on my shoulders. Today, I will give you the meteor metal, and when you get a meteor metal in the future, you will give your meteor metal to me. How about it? Looking at the meteor metal in Zoffy's hand and the expectant eyes of the Ultra brothers, Tarikia stretched out his hand, carefully took the meteor metal, and placed it in his arms. Captain Zoffy, I will keep this meteor metal until the day I'm qualified to wear it. I believe that day will not be too far away. Zoffy. The video continues. The following is all fighting scenes. However, just after Maximum dodged this attack, Dark Bolton's attack came again. His huge foot stepped directly towards Ultraman Maximum. The body of Dark Bolton was too big now. One of his feet was much bigger than Maximum's body. Facing the opponent's overwhelming foot, Ultraman Maximum immediately raised his hands to block the opponent's foot. Unfortunately, the gap in strength between the two sides was too big, and he was still stepped into the ground by Dark Bolton. Maximum, get up quickly and fight back. Maximum, Ultraman, you have to cheer up. The three people watching the battle saw that Ultraman Maximum was beaten by Dark Bolton, and had no power to fight back. Their hearts were in their throats, and their eyes were full of worry. They were afraid that Maximum would not be able to block the opponent's attack, and be killed directly. If that happened, the Earth would be in danger. But just when they thought Maximum was going to be trampled to death by Dark Bolton, they saw that Dark Bolton's foot did not step down directly, but was held up by someone. The person who held up the opponent's foot was Ultraman Maximum. He was emitting red light all over his body and exploded completely. Not only did he hold up the foot of Dark Bolton, but his body also grew rapidly in this red light, and finally became the same size as Dark Bolton. Dark Bolton, shit, you can't afford to play. Great. Seeing that Ultraman Maximum was not defeated, and even became the same size as Dark Bolton, Rooksy and the others shouted happily. After Maximum Ultraman became the same size as Dark Bolton, he immediately attacked him. Dark Bolton also swung his two huge pincers and smashed them down at Maximum Ultraman, but Maximum dodged them all. Then Maximum Ultraman found an opportunity, and punched Dark Bolton in the ribs, causing him to retreat several steps and scream. In terms of physical skills, Dark Bolton was completely suppressed by Maximum. However, Dark Bolton was very resistant to attack. He acted like nothing happened and attacked Maximum Ultraman fiercely. However, his close combat ability was obviously not as good as Maximum's. Maximum dodged several attacks. Not only that, but Maximum also punched him several times. The Dark Bolton was furious, and fired a fierce energy attack from his mouth. But this attack was also dodged by Ultraman Maximum, and Ultraman Maximum seized the opportunity, and the Maxium sword on his forehead immediately activated, attacking the Dark Bolton's arms. A flash of light passed, and the Dark Bolton's arms were directly cut off by the Maxium sword. After launching this attack, Maximum thought he could successfully kill the Dark Bolton, but he saw that the severed arms of the Dark Bolton did not fall from his body at all, but a huge stream of water appeared, which connected his severed arms to his body. In just a blink of an eye, they were connected again, intact, without any signs of injury, which shocked Ultraman Maximum. Dark Bolton laughed a huge mocking laugh, mocking Maximum's attack for having no effect on him at all. Ultraman Maximum immediately calmed down. Since he couldn't kill you in one go, he would use a stronger attack. He raised his left hand with Maximum sparks in the air. A large amount of light energy gathered, and soon the energy was fully charged. His arms formed an L shape, and then a powerful light attack with colorful brilliance was launched from his left arm. Maxium Cannon. The rescue of the old man has begun. Chapter 317 Maximum is defeated. This is Ultraman Maximum's powerful ultimate move. Its powerful force can directly break the enemy into the most basic light particles. As long as it hits, the enemy will be killed, and only slag will be left. So far, this move has failed many times. In addition to being ruthlessly killed when attacking Yifu, it was also blocked by Mr. 1 Trillion Fireball's shield, which was forcibly interrupted when it was charging. At this time, the superiority of the Specium Ray can be seen. That is, Imodi's pre-shake, which is instantly released in 1 second. Originally, this was a fatal blow, but unfortunately, when this fatal attack was about to hit Dark Bolton, the opponent's figure suddenly teleported to the side out of thin air. This ultimate move only hit the opponent's afterimage, and did not cause any damage to the opponent. Seeing this, Ultraman Maximum hurriedly looked for the figure of Dark Bolton, but at this moment, a huge energy attack bombarded from the sky behind him, accompanied by the wild laughter of Dark Bolton. The opponent's attack was very powerful. Maximum Ultraman was under such a powerful attack. Even though he had a very strong defense, he could not resist it. He could not even stand steadily. He staggered forward. He knew that this would not work. He turned around and tried to block the attack, but the energy bombardment of the Dark Bolton kept attacking him and kept exploding on his body. He could not stop it at all. Until the opponent's energy bombardment ended, Maximum finally couldn't hold on and fell down. Maximum Ultraman just gasped twice and stood up while enduring the pain. As soon as he stood up, he saw that the Dark Bolton released a series of golden energy halos again. These energy halos did not have much attack power, but they had a strong binding ability. They were directly put on Maximum, binding him tightly and making him unable to move. Hahaha, just struggle slowly, get angry, your energy will soon be exhausted. Hahaha. Seeing Maximum Ultraman trapped by his golden energy halo, struggling helplessly, Dark Bolton laughed triumphantly. Maximum Ultraman struggled hard, but the power of the golden halo was too great and too strong. Maximum Ultraman couldn't break free for a while. The most important thing was that the power timer on his chest had changed from blue to red and kept making rapid noises. Maximum Ultraman. Roxy looked at the trapped Maximum with a worried look on her face. She wished she could go over and help him break the golden energy halo. Come on, Maximum Ultraman. Xiaoi clenched his fists and cheered. It's useless. His energy is running out. Wee Wee said worriedly. She saw it most clearly. However, Wee Wee still underestimated Ultraman Maximum. He used up his last bit of strength and broke free from the opponent's golden energy halo. However, this was also the last strength of Ultraman Maximum. After breaking free, all his energy was used up and he fell to the ground helplessly. Then his huge figure completely disappeared and Ultraman's transformation ended and he turned into Kato Talma again. Hahaha. After defeating Maximum, Dark Bolton laughed triumphantly and said, Earthlings, how about telling me the words you often say to aliens? Welcome to Earth. Hahaha. After that, he laughed wildly and even fired energy light bullets at the surroundings unscrupulously. Originally, this area had been turned into a ruin by the battle between him and Maximum, and now it became even more dilapidated under the attack of his energy light bullets. Large areas of buildings collapsed. Without Ultraman Maximum's obstruction, Dark Bolton was like a vandal who was destroying like crazy. Is this guy's ability so strong? What a terrifying power. To be precise, it's what a terrifying technological ability. Space transfer, genetic modification, gravity gap. What surprised me the most was the genetic modification. Tony said, but considering Dark Bolton's gravity controlled technology, it makes sense. Maybe this is why Dark Bolton wants to develop a zero gravity field. What are you talking about? Can you speak more clearly? A group of ordinary people were particularly confused when listening to it. Tony's words were like the mumbling of mad scientist in his sleep. In short, he was muttering a bunch of messed up technological terms. You can understand them when you listen to them separately, but no one knows what he is talking about when they are put together. Mr. Stark's meaning should be that the Boltons transformed themselves into 1,000-meter Dark Bolton through genetic modification, but with the increase in gravity, it is even more terrifying. If an ordinary person suddenly becomes 1,000 meters, no, only 20 meters, on Earth without protection, this person will be crushed by gravity and finally become a pool of rotten meat. Wonder, in this case, it is not surprising that the weight of the creatures that can be giant in Mr. Hikari's world is in the unit of 10,000 tons. Bruce Wayne, yes, if there is no such degree of density to support, such a body cannot maintain a normal shape under the influence of gravity. Logan, now I'm more curious about how big this battle will be. The gap between the Earthlings and Dark Bolton is too big. Without Maximum Ultraman, this battle will have no chance of winning. Bruce Wayne, if the energy problem can be solved, then Maximum will have the capital to fight Dark Bolton. Ace, Maximum's strength really surprised us. He was able to become a kilometer-long giant, which is a rare talent in the land of light. Guang, yes, theoretically, as long as we have enough energy, we can continue to grow, but this is only a theory. If we have enough energy, but don't control it, it will only cause the energy to run wild, and the result will be serious injuries or even a big bomb. Ace, Maximum has a strong control over energy. At least I can't do it in that situation. Bruce Wayne, can you also become bigger to a certain extent? Ace, generally speaking, our size is enough to deal with the enemy, and a height of 50 meters can also be more flexible when facing a larger enemy. But if I want, it shouldn't be a problem to grow 1 or 200 meters taller. This year's overall quality is still not human. Damn it, even if I have seen Loki and know that Pompeii was buried by volcanic ash, but no one said that it was the volcano that buried Pompeii. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 318, The Beginning of Human-Robot Love. Logan, but the moment Maximum became Gigantamax really scared me. In my opinion, Dark Bolton only relied on his technological strength. When Maximum became Gigantamax, wouldn't a set of combos directly beat Dark Bolton to the point of not knowing where to go? Holy lord, it's useless. Maximum is only strong in physical skills. In a real battle, physical skills never determine the final victory or defeat. Thanos, although Dark Bolton is no match for Maximum in close combat, the strength of technology has wiped out this insignificant gap. Limb regeneration, space movement, gravity manipulation, these abilities are enough to make Maximum's physical skills completely unable to perform. Demon hell. Zealand's narrowed reddish eyes widened in shock. I don't understand, but I was shocked. JPG, he has always regarded gravity as his own authority, a power that belongs to him alone, and his power and authority are the most special. You see, there are so many black creatures and righteous creatures who play with fire and water, and there are also many thunder and wind. Zimu's control of celestial phenomena seems powerful, but it is actually a collection of several other powers. Dickie's is relatively good, but Dickie is too stupid, and is not worthy of being compared with himself. Bogang? Who is Bogang? Is there Bogang among the 7 demons? Probably not. Only Zealand's power of authority is the unique authority of the moon, that is, gravity. Therefore, it has never had a follower, because they are not worthy. A guy who can't even survive on the moon, still wants to be my follower? Exclamation mark. Zealand's heart is arrogant. After he saw Bolton's gravity control, he found that something seemed a bit wrong. Hiss. A bit awesome. Technology. Can something developed by low-level creatures that can't sense righteousness and black hair also involve the authority of heaven and earth? Although Zealand is reluctant to accept this fact, he has no choice but to accept it. After devouring today's prey helplessly, Zealand continued to watch the live broadcast quietly. There was nothing he could do now. He could only make plans. After escaping this hellhole, the video continues. At the same time, at the headquarters of the Dash organization, the command room was still in a zero-gravity state. Team Hijikata and others were trying to save themselves. They kept calling Kato and Mizuki, but unfortunately they couldn't get through. They couldn't contact them. Perhaps it was because of the zero-gravity field. After all, even the robot Ellie had lost its function, and could only make some unconscious sounds. Not only these team members were calling for help, the robot Coco was also floating in the air and constantly emitting light, showing his anxiety and panic. Seam kept shouting for help in English. The whole command room was a mess. In the office of Early Tomioka Kenzo, he was nervously discussing countermeasures with Professor Aki Ishinaga. Now almost all the team members were trapped in the command room, and they had to be rescued first. Professor Yoshinaga kept checking the situation in the command room on a laptop and said worriedly, "The command room is still in an abnormal state of zero gravity. If the internal situation cannot be restored, the door cannot be opened." After hearing what Professor Yoshinaga said, Kenzo Tomioka frowned. He did not expect things to be so bad. The technology of Bolton, which he had never heard of before, was so powerful. He sighed and said, "The technology of Bolton is even more terrible than we imagined. Obviously, even early Tomioka Kenzo Shion has no way to rescue his team members." In the command room, the trapped group knew that it would not work if they continued to stay like this, and they had to save themselves. Muting said to Captain Hijikata, "I will go to fix Ellie. Do as I say." Captain Hijikata floated in the air and commanded, "You go to the front of Ellie first." Muting came to the front of the robot Ellie according to Captain Hijikata's instructions. At this time, the robot Ellie kept repeating the words that the aliens reacted strongly to. Captain Hijikata said, "Grab Ellie's hand first." Kuting immediately grabbed Ella's wrist. Seeing that Captain Hijikata was so rude, he quickly said, "Be gentle, hold her hand gently. Then look her in the eye." Keating looked at Captain Hijikata in confusion. Wasn't he going to repair Ellie? But what was he doing now? Captain Hijikata didn't explain to him but said, "Just do as I say." Now only Ellie can eliminate the Bolton Stars program. Although Keating couldn't figure out what Captain Hijikata was up to, out of trust in the captain, he immediately did as he said, gently holding the robot Ellie's hands and looking into her eyes tenderly, but it was of no use. Captain Hijikata saw Sheen watching the fun in Ella's field of vision and said unhappily, "Sheen, if you leave Ella's field of vision, you will be in the way." "Ah, I'm in the way. Why?" Sheen, who was watching the fun, asked a few questions with a reluctant look on his face, but was glared at by Captain Hijikata, so he dared not speak, turned his head obediently, and disappeared from Ella's field of vision. Captain Hijikata continued to direct Muting and said, "Yes, look at Ellie gently." Muting tried his best to show all his gentleness. After a while, there was indeed a trace of warmth in Ella's eyes. Looking at Muting, it was finally not that meaningless voice, but a little slow to say, "Muting, Kinjiro?" "Yes, I'm Muting." Muting was overjoyed. He didn't expect that this method really worked. He nodded and said immediately. Captain Hijikata was also very happy and said, "Yes, that's it. Now continue to stroke Ella's hair." "Ah, touch her hair?" After hearing what Captain Hijikata said, Muting was even more confused. It was okay to just look into each other's eyes, but he actually had to touch her hair? "Yes, just touch her hair, just like combing a monkey's hair." Captain Hijikata said. "Ellie is not a small animal." Muting muttered, but he still did what Captain Hijikata said, gently stroking Ella's hair and her cheeks. "Just caress it." Sheen, who was watching the fun on the side, understood Captain Hijikata's intention. Captain Hijikata quickly shushed him and told him not to speak so as not to affect Ellie. I don't want to go home anymore. I can't communicate with my dad. Chapter 319, Commonplace. What the hell is this? I've never seen a robot repaired this way. Me too. Hayata said, Ellie has an emotional circuit similar to that of humans, so this method may indeed work. Akiko nodded, and they continued to look at the computer screen nervously, hoping to successfully repair Ellie on the other side of the battlefield. After Maximum Ultraman was defeated, we knew that the Dark Boltons had already come to Earth, so she didn't need to hide her identity anymore. So she took the initiative to confess to Ruxi. "Actually, I'm Bolton." Xiaoi was afraid that Ruxi would think Wee and the Dark Bolton were accomplices, so he immediately explained for Wee. The one just now was the hawkish Dark Bolton, and Wee was the dove-like girl who came here on a flying boat, a miniature Bolton. "Oh, you two, what time is it now, and you still have time to joke here?" Ruxi scolded angrily. Maximum Ultraman was just defeated, and now he was unknown, whether he was alive or dead. She was almost worried to death, and these two little guys actually had the mind to joke with her. But before she finished her words, she looked at Wee in shock. In order to make Ruxi believe her words more quickly, Wee showed her true form. Looking at the lobster head under Weewa's human skin, it was exactly the same as that of the Dark Bolton. This made Roxy shocked and scared, and even her hand reached for the weapon at her waist involuntarily. But Weewa immediately turned into a little girl again, smiling and said, "My current appearance is fake, and what I just said is true. Although I'm also a Bolton, I'm completely different from that Dark Bolton. I have good intentions towards the Earth." Xiaoi also nodded vigorously to testify for Weewa Cinema. So it would be better if they did this earlier. Before, they said that this was to prevent the pursuit of Dark Bolton, but wouldn't it be more effective to communicate with Dash in advance to resist Dark Bolton? It should be based on distrust and vigilance against Earthlings. I'm a little dizzy. Roxy supported the Dash Alpha in frustration. On the contrary, Weewa had a lot of ideas. She said to Xiaoi, "Xiaoman, I want to go back to the Ark as soon as possible. This is the only way to revive Ultraman Maximum." Xiaoi trusts Weewa very much. Since Weewa said so, she must have some way to revive Ultraman Maximum. Now only Ultraman Maximum can deal with the Dark Bolton. This is related to the life and death of the entire Earth. So he said without hesitation, "Then let's set off now. Conjure up your magic broom and fly over." I say, "You two, what time is it now? And you still want to learn from the witch to play with the magic broom?" Roxy listened to the discussion of the two little guys in front of her. She rolled her eyes and said unhappily. However, Weewa did not argue, but said to Xiaoi, "No, Xiaomian, if I use the magic broom now, Dark Bolton will definitely be able to sense my energy, and then he will know that I have come to the Earth. Then he will come to hunt me down, and all of us will be in danger, and we will not be able to save Ultraman Maximum. So, we can't use the magic broom." Xiaoi thought about it, and felt that it made sense, and said, "Although the distance is not very far, but time is tight, we can only use Alpha to fly over. Sister Roxy, I want to fly to the Ark at full speed, to save Ultraman Maximum and the Earth. As for the reason, I will explain it to you later, please believe me." After that, Xiaoi bowed deeply to Roxy. Ryuizi felt Xiaoi's sincerity, and was moved by him. She said, "Okay, I agree. Anyway, I don't have any better idea now, so I'll go crazy with you. Get in the car." After that, she called two people to get in the car, and she quickly sat in the driver's seat, saying passionately, "Let's give it a try now. Sometimes you can gain something by risking your life, and random words can come true. Now I feel like I'm in the clouds. Let's go." After that, she reset the car's state to flying state, because the flying state has the fastest speed, and then she stepped on the accelerator and the car sped away. On the other side, in Hayata's office, Hayata said, "The Bolton said that the people on Earth are the invaders of the universe. What's going on?" Professor Yoshinaga said, "We humans prioritize economic development and continue to destroy the Earth. We also want to transfer these bad consequences to other planets, such as the moon. Now there is too much garbage on our Earth and there is no place to put it, so we want to throw the garbage on the moon, and the moon can't stand it." Hayata nodded and said, "Although there is no life on the moon, there may be other things." Professor Yoshinaga continued, "Humans also want to migrate to Mars, but there was life on Mars and it still exists now. This is why the Dark Bolton thinks we humans are invaders." Hayata frowned and said, "If there are other aliens who have the same idea as this Dark Bolton, they all think that we humans on Earth are invaders or even public enemies of the universe, and they have a technological level far beyond our Earth. If they all come to attack us." He didn't finish his words, but Professor Yoshinaga understood what Hayata meant very well. She also said with great concern, "If this is really the case, then the defenseless Earthlings will be vulnerable." Screening room. But this has nothing to do with Dark Bolton. Maybe this is the justice of Dark Bolton. Hikaru said helplessly, "The attack on the Earth has nothing to do with Maximum, but Maximum still chose to help the Earth, didn't he? In Ace, before the true peace that we Ultra Warriors expect comes, this kind of struggle is inevitable. Thanos, this kind of constant struggle is the norm in the universe. The weak will be beaten, and strength is the eternal truth. Thanos, if you can't be strong yourself, others can find countless reasons to attack you at will, and if you don't want to be attacked, there is only one way, that is, to be stronger yourself. Brothers, I have something to announce. I set the fan value to speak. It seems that there is no point in announcing here. Those who can see this should not have no fan value at all. Chapter 320. The scientific trio is online. Thanos. Why no one dares to provoke the Shire Empire? It's because they are too strong. The strongest universe-class Star Destroyer of the Shire Empire can even face the Cosmic God head-on. The real Cosmic God, not the Asgardian who is ignorant of the height of heaven and earth. Loki Odinson, I'm offended. Thanos. So, instead of reflecting on whether you are right or wrong, the people of Earth should quickly develop technology. When their technology becomes the strongest in the universe, even if they occupy the entire universe, who among the people of other planets dares to say no? Logan, what this guy said, seems to make a little sense. Peter Parker, if powerful power is used in the wrong place, no matter how powerful it is meaningless. Loki Odinson, foolish mortal, no matter how right you think, without powerful power to support and realize it, no matter how beautiful your idea is, it is just a daydream. Loki Odinson, power is the most important thing. Agwang, I think you two should integrate your ideas. Using the right ideas and a righteous heart to control the powerful force is the most correct logic. Loki Odinson, that's right, but power is obviously more important. Peter Parker, why can't you understand the truth that even Thanos can understand? The video continues on the other side. Roxy drove the wet Alpha through the sky, leaving 2 white exhausts. Her speed was very fast, which also caused the car to be very bumpy, making Xiaoyu very uncomfortable. He tried hard to hold the seat with his hands, so that he was not thrown off. He protested, Sister Roxy, you drive too fast, and the shaking is too strong. Bear with it, we will be there soon. Roxy said with a smile. Not only did she not slow down, but she sped up again. Now she is saving Maximum Ultraman and the Earth, and every second counts. We took this opportunity to introduce the Bolton planet to Roxy and said, it's like this. After endless nuclear wars, the environment of our Bolton planet has been destroyed. Therefore, there are many Bolton people like my parents who want to repair the trauma caused by environmental damage. They are also fighting with the Dark Bolton people who want to invade the Earth and immigrate. Xiaoyu said angrily, the Dark Bolton people want to occupy the Earth. In this case, they are the invaders. At the same time, in the closed command room, Muting was still trying to wake up Ellie through the Earth therapy provided by Captain Hijikata. Captain Hijikata saw that the progress was almost there and said, okay, Muting, you can confess now. Just treat this as the password to enter Ellie's heart. Hearing this, Muting whispered to Ellie, listen, Ellie, there is a login record called Muting Kinjiro in your file, right? Muting? He repeated it and asked, is there? Robot Ellie nodded. Captain Hijikata was overjoyed. It seemed that everything was going very well. He continued to command and said, now let Ellie put your file in the file called comfortable. Muting said, now put me in the file called comfortable. There is already a file called like. Robot Ellie said expressionlessly, but when these words came out, Muting was stunned. He didn't expect that Robot Ellie actually liked him. Now he didn't know how to proceed. Fortunately, Captain Hijikata was in command, saying, don't panic, Muting, never take your eyes off Ellie, start giving her orders now, she will obey your orders now, use Ellie's power to make things normal. Captain Hijikata's words were not only heard by Muting, but also by Ellie. Without waiting for Muting to repeat the order, Ellie said, understood, for the sake of Muting, whom I like, I will restore the situation to normal, like. Muting was stunned when he heard the word like from Ella's mouth. He was a little panicked, but there was still a little surprise. At this moment, the sharpshooter who never missed a shot dared not look at Ellie, but Captain Hijikata immediately ordered Muting not to avoid Ella's eyes, because this might make Ellie lose control again. Seen on the side silently, love is so beautiful. Cinema. I don't understand, but I'm shocked. What kind of XP is this sharpshooter? It's so strange. Wanda, hey, what's wrong with liking robots? Is there anything wrong with liking robots? Peter Parker, this, no problem at all. Logan, girl, although this is your freedom, as an old antique, it is still not difficult for me to understand. Logan, it is indeed a bit strange. I don't have any feelings about the relationship between you and Vision, but I always feel that this kid named Muting and his robot girlfriend are particularly awkward. Bruce Wayne, it's because Ellie is too human, but we all know that she is not human. The most important thing is that she has more robot attributes. Bruce Wayne, simply put, it is the uncanny valley theory. Vision's thinking and voice are no different from humans, but his appearance is quite different from humans, so we can instead see the existence of Vision. Bruce Wayne, and that Ellie is no different from a normal human, but we know that it is not a real person, but a robot, and its voice is completely a machine sound, so under multiple influences, we will feel so weird. They have discussed the uncanny valley theory before, and everyone knows what it is. However, this is the first time I have seen it with my own eyes. Peter Parker, no offense, but can robots really have emotions? I still don't quite understand. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, human emotions are synthesized by different hormones, such as happiness, dopamine, and other emotions are also controlled by different hormones, but this theory does not seem to apply to me. I think the birth of emotions should be affected by more advanced factors. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, when I first saw the screening room, I was surprised, but my body is a completely quantized quantum body, and there is no dopamine or other hormones. After I formed a quantum body, I still fell in love with an Earth woman. If emotions are completely controlled by hormones, then I would never have the above situation. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, this is a very interesting phenomenon, and it is worth our further study. I was in a bad mood today. I met a cerebral palsy on the forum. It seems to be called. Okay, I forgot the name of the cerebral palsy. I don't know if he has a maldeveloped brain or is really an orphan. He broke down right away after hearing a few words from me, and then he scolded me on my previous post. I'm in a bad mood now. Chapter 321 Mechanical Body and Quantum Body. Peter Parker, if a magical being like the quantum body can develop emotions, then it seems reasonable for robots to develop emotions. Strange, didn't the previous Ultron want to destroy humanity because he developed emotions? Tony Stark, can we not mention this matter? Captain America, Tony, you can only make better progress if you recognize your mistakes. Tony Stark, enough, Captain. I don't need your preaching. Captain America, Tony, you should learn what humility is. Loki Odinson, it's an incredible idea to let this guy learn humility. Tony Stark, you are the least qualified to say this here, and I don't know who is shouting that he is a god all day long. Loki Odinson, mortal, I'm the omnipotent Asgardian god of trickery. Tony Stark, great, Mr. God of Trickery, can you defeat the projection room? WandaVision World. Ziohuan, why did you fall in love with me? Wanda, my body is a bionic body created by Ultron, not a purely mechanical body. Vision tried to explain the secret of the bionic body to Wanda in the simplest language. In short, when Ultron was making his new body, he used Vibranium X-Men World. Charles, do you think you can sense the emotions and thoughts of robots? Faced with Logan's extremely leapfrog thinking and magical ideas, Charles was also stunned. In this timeline, artificial intelligence is still just a concept. He has heard that someone is developing robots. But for the question raised by Logan, he said that this really stumped him. Image continues. Just when Dash was producing dog food, Rooksy and the others on the other side also drove to a cave by the sea. His spaceship was placed in this cave. Usually, there are few people here, and no one will find her spaceship. Looking at the spiral spaceship, that is only half a meter high, Rooksy's eyes were full of doubts. This thing is actually a spaceship, more like a conch, right? Moreover, this spaceship is only half a meter high. Look at Wee standing in front of her. It is much bigger than the spaceship. Can it accommodate her? Is this the spaceship? Did you come to Earth on this? Rooksy asked with a puzzled look. Wee just nodded and didn't explain much. Xiaoi asked, I don't know what you are going back to get, but now you have to go back to Bolton Planet outside the Milky Way. It should be too late, right? We insisted, but as long as you have that, you can definitely defeat the Dark Bolton Starman. Roxy said depressedly, "Hey, I'm talking to you. How long will it take to go back to Bolton Planet now?" In Roxy's view, Bolton Planet is outside the Milky Way. Traveling between galaxies will definitely take a very long time. Can distant water save nearby fire? She was very worried about this, and even felt that Wee, who was like a little girl in front of her, was a little unreliable. Wee explained, "If we use time as the unit, then it will take a week." 1 week? Roxy said in shock, not knowing whether she felt that the time was too long or that such a short time to travel between galaxies was too short. "Yeah, that's right." Wee nodded, "But if we calculate it by movement, it would only take 2 minutes. 2 minutes? After Roxy heard Wee's explanation, her little head couldn't turn around at all. Why did the same journey take 2 different times? This made her completely unable to understand. She grabbed her head and said in frustration with a defeated look, "I don't understand it at all." Xiaoi didn't want to figure this out, he just wanted to help, so he said, "Then I'll go with you." Anyway, in his opinion, whether it was a week or 2 minutes, it didn't matter. As long as they could save the Earth and Maximum Ultraman, it would be worth it, even if it took longer. No. But this time Wee flatly rejected Xiaoi's request and said, "If you go back and forth with me once, your age will increase by at least 7 years. What about you?" Xiaoi backed off a bit after hearing this, but he started to worry about Wee again. Wee looked the same age as him now, and he didn't want Wee to become an adult after returning from Bolton. "I'm fine, because our Bolton people have very mature cloning technology, so they can easily give birth to me," Wee explained. But Xiaoi was completely confused about the situation, and he touched his head and said, "I don't understand what you said even more." As for Roxy, she has completely given up trying to understand Wee's words. The pain of a bad student 2.0. JPG Constantine. Got that old bastard. What the hell are they talking about? Logan, give up, give up. I had this realization when I was in the 3-body problem. Let's just treat this situation as a joke. The scientific trio from the 3-body problem period is online again, and this time they have joined Dr. Manhattan. 1 week, 2 minutes, does she mean superluminal flight? The closer the speed is to the speed of light, the slower the time. If you fly at superluminal speed. What Wee said about me being born from me, does that mean cloning a whole new body? Under superluminal flight, the body should not be affected by the passage of time. Could it be a problem with Dark Bolton's technology? So it took 7 years for Xiaoi to go with him? It is also possible that cloning oneself at the destination has achieved the effect of a space jump. Listen carefully. To put it simply, if you want to travel between galaxies, you have to rely on the gravitational balance between the planets and the universe to drive the spacecraft. Wee explained the flying power of her spacecraft, but it would have been better if she didn't explain. The more she explained, the more confused Roxy and Xiaoi became. It was like listening to a foreign language and they couldn't understand it at all. This is simple, the gravitational slingshot effect. If you do this, you can indeed reach the 3rd cosmic speed faster. Those who understood nodded frequently, those who didn't understand looked MMP, and those who were showing off were wondering when they could get into the screening room to eat and drink for free. Video continues. Seeing this, Wee gave up the idea of explaining and said, "I guess you probably don't understand what I'm saying. It's a waste of time to explain now. I'd better set off first, so as not to delay saving the Earth." After she finished speaking, she chanted Barulu's spell again, and turned back into a palm-sized miniature Bolton. Seeing Wee's true form, Roxy now really believed that Wee was a Bolton. Wee got into the spaceship and asked Xiaoi to help her move the spaceship to the beach. It was unknown what material the spaceship was made of, but even Xiaoi could move it easily. He moved the spaceship to the beach, and Wee chanted Barulu's spell again. Suddenly, a golden energy enveloped the entire spaceship, floating in the air, and something like a space-time wormhole appeared in the air. Then Wee drove the spaceship directly into the space-time wormhole and disappeared. Damn it, why do I have to read the theory of relativity to write a novel? I'm a scumbag who didn't even get into high school, and I have to read the theory of relativity. Chapter 322 The decisive battle ahead. Inside the command room, the robot Ellie has returned to normal. Her slender 10 fingers quickly tapped on the keyboard, inputting some system commands. The others looked at Ellie nervously. Whether it could return to normal or not, all depended on Ellie. After a while, Ellie entered all the commands and pressed the enter key. The strange red light that originally filled the command room disappeared immediately, and everyone shouted happily, "Great, it works." Captain Hijikata said to Scene, "See the mouse in front of you. Click the left button." "Understood, Captain." Scene grabbed the mouse and pressed it excitedly. The responsibility of saving the Earth fell on his fingers. Boom. But when he pressed it, the people who were originally floating in the air suddenly hit the roof, and even the tables, chairs, benches and the like flew to the roof. Scene, "What the hell are you doing? I asked you to press it once. Did you press it twice?" Captain Hijikata's angry voice came over. "Sorry." Scene apologized immediately, then suppressed his excitement and pressed it again. This time, everyone fell directly from the roof to the floor. The fall was not light, but fortunately they finally recovered completely. They didn't care about the pain in their bodies now, and quickly got up and began to make a battle plan. Captain Hijikata said, "The Dark Bolton will continue to attack. We must take the lead in sending out the Dash mobile carrier to rescue Kato and search for Dash Alpha. As for Ellie, you stay here." Everyone nodded repeatedly, and then Ellie got up and set off with them. Muting patted Ellie's shoulder and gave her an encouraging look. Suddenly, a very humane and happy smile appeared on Ellie's face. In the ruins on the battlefield, Kato was pressed in a rubble. He tried hard to climb out of the rubble, but he was too seriously injured just now. Just moving his whole body was an unbearable pain, and there were many things pressing on his body, which made him unable to climb out at all. Wow. Tama Kato, we Bolton have already analyzed the principle of your transformation into Ultraman Maximum. At this moment, Dark Bolton laughed triumphantly and said, "You can't transform. You have lost the energy needed for transformation." Wow. Damn it. Hearing the ruthless ridicule of Dark Bolton, Kato was angry and helpless. He was angry that this Bolton was so powerful that he even studied his transformation into Ultraman. He was helpless that he had no way to defeat Dark Bolton in his current state. He could only save himself as much as possible. While he was saving himself, the miniature Bolton Weewee had also returned. She, Ichinos Tsutomu and several other friends rode magic brooms and flew quickly in the sky to find the injured Kato. Although this is alien technology, I still think their technology is somewhat Harry Potter-like. Peter looked at a group of teenagers flying in the sky on broomsticks. Although he didn't understand, he had the urge to ride one. Broomsticks, for Peter, a teenager who had watched Harry Potter, this was a great temptation. Their flying brooms and the Chirita's individual flying vehicles all have a strong flavor of folk science. Tony complained mercilessly, "The anti-gravity device has been developed. Is it difficult to install a lit? Why do you have to drive a convertible? This is like the sci-fi element in some so-called sci-fi movies. It looks very high-end, but in fact the internal principles and technological level are not as advanced as the smart sensor doors of the Avengers building." Image continues. In addition to them, Captain Hijikata and others also drove the Dash mothership to the battlefield. Seeing this, Ruxy immediately drove the Dash Alpha back to the Dash mothership. After seeing Captain Hijikata, she reported what happened before, and then said, "Captain, I have begun to believe that boy now, and now Macro Bolton has also begun to help us." Macro Bolton. Captain Hijikata was immediately confused when he heard the word. What is this? But before he could ask clearly, Ella's voice came from behind. "The alien scanner has responded, and the gravity in the local area is fluctuating abnormally." After hearing this, everyone knew that it must be the work of the Dark Bolton. As long as they find the area with abnormal gravity fluctuations, they will definitely find the Dark Bolton. Captain Hijikata didn't bother to ask about the Macro Bolton, and said, "Ellie, where is he hiding?" After Ellie uploaded the location to the screen, Captain Hijikata said angrily, "Damn Dark Bolton, you finally showed up. Okay, let's take the initiative." He gave an order and said, "Cooting, you drive the Dash Eagle number 2, and Ellie will go with you. The task of navigation will be handed over to you." Ellie went out to perform the mission without saying a word. Team Mizuki. Hi. Let's stop the story here. Go to Dash Eagle number 1. Understood. Mizuki also went to Dash number 1 to prepare for the battle. Soon they arrived at the place where the Dark Bolton was, and his huge figure emerged. When Captain Hijikata saw him, his eyes were full of hatred, and he shouted loudly, "A fierce attack." After that, he took the lead in opening fire, and launched a fierce attack on the Dark Bolton. Dash number 1 and number 2 made a roundabout attack. The 3 attack ships attacked the Dark Bolton from 3 directions, but their attack power was obviously not enough. The Dark Bolton seemed to be able to absorb the energy of these attacks, and then use his own big pliers to send out this energy attack again, and launched a counter-attack against the Dash number 2 where Muting and Ellie were. An eye for an eye, right? Dash number 2 immediately opened the energy shield, but even so, Muting and Dash number 2 was still in great pain from the electric shock of the energy, and let out a shrill scream. Although their attack ships were already the products of the highest level of Earth technology, they were no match for the Bolton, whose science and technology far exceeded that of Earth. However, after a period of searching, Wee and Xiaomi finally found Kato buried under a pile of rubble. I was able to finish writing Dark Bolton today, mainly because this is the plot of episodes 33 and 34. Chapter 323 The Fastest and Strongest Civil Servant Maximum. Barulu. Kato was trapped under the ruins. Seeing this, Wee immediately cast a spell. No, used technology to save Kato. Suddenly, a golden energy was released, and the broken walls and rubble that were pressing on Kato were all freed from the constraints of gravity and flew up one by one. Kato, who was trapped underneath, immediately climbed out from inside. After he came out, he immediately looked up at the sky. At this time, Captain Hijikata was leading his team to drive the attack ship to fight the Dark Bolton. However, the Dark Bolton was too powerful. They were no match for the Dark Bolton. At this time, they were completely suppressed by the Dark Bolton and were in danger. If it weren't for the advantage in numbers, they would have been blown up long ago. Looking at this, Kato was anxious and wanted to help, but at this time his energy had long been used up, and he couldn't help at all. Kato, quickly transform into Ultraman Maximum. Their attack ship won't last long. Wee said to Kato. At this moment, her situation was the same as that of all humans. If she couldn't defeat the Dark Bolton, she would also be killed by the Dark Bolton. She herself had no fighting power, so she could only pin all her hopes on Ultraman Maximum. Xiaomi, shocked me for 10,000 years. JPG, who are you? Kato looked at Wee in confusion. He didn't know Wee and didn't know who this little girl was. He just knew that she must be extraordinary. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to master gravity technology. He also wanted to transform into Maximum and smash that guy. But he looked at the Maximum spark in his hand again. The energy in it had been exhausted. Even if he wanted to transform, it was impossible. Boom! At this time, the battle at Captain Hijikata's place had entered a white-hot stage. A huge explosion sounded. Wee looked at it and found that the battle was even more intense. Captain Hijikata and his men were in a precarious situation, and they had to hurry up. Hurry up. Leave the energy to me, Wee said anxiously. She looked around and found a broken water pipe with water flowing out. She ran over immediately. Several friends followed closely. Kato looked at them in confusion. He didn't understand what they were doing. He couldn't solve the energy problem himself. How could these little guys solve it? However, in Kato's puzzled eyes, he saw Wee put her hands together, holding them, and took some water. The water miraculously turned into solid energy condensed into diamonds. Shocked Kato for 10,000 years. JPG, this is solid energy, and it is directly converted from water. Although I don't know what the child is like, whether it is magic or technology, isn't this energy conversion process a bit too casual? Exclamation mark. However, fortunately, the other party is not an enemy, but comes to help him. Hisui Haruki Kato-san didn't think much about it. Since he came to help him, he is a partner. Partners, there is no need to doubt. Each child received a solid energy crystal and surrounded Kato. Under Weewee's command, they raised the solid energy crystals high to form a circle. Then the energy in these solid energy crystals was miraculously connected together to form a golden energy ring. Maximum is an expert in using energy. After possessing Kato also gained the ability to observe energy. Although he didn't know how huge this energy was, the huge energy contained in this energy ring was definitely enough for him to transform. Kato didn't hesitate at all and immediately raised the maximum spark in his hand. Suddenly, the golden energy ring was completely absorbed into his maximum spark. The energy was replenished instantly, and it was much more sufficient than at any time before. Maximum spark bloomed on Kato's left arm with unprecedented dazzling brilliance. The next second, the red giant once again stood on the ground. Everyone else was very excited when they saw Ultraman Maximum, who appeared with their help. They shouted loudly to the huge Ultraman Maximum, waved their arms vigorously to greet Ultraman Maximum, and shouted, "Come on. Yeah." Ultraman Maximum, or Kato, looked down at Xiaoyu and the others, nodded to them, and clenched his fists to reassure them, and then he rushed towards Dark Bolton. "Boy, it's time to settle the previous accounts. What kind of theory is this? Convert a ball of water into an energy ball that can support Maximum Ultraman's transformation. If I can really do this, then there will be no energy shortage on Earth." Yes. Tony ruthlessly shattered Peter's fantasy. He threw the reality in front of Peter. Don't think that the birth of this relatively unlimited energy production technology means that the Earth will not lack energy in the future. If this invention is made public, it will be fine. If it is not made public, it will only become a tool for some people to make money. Don't say that this is a weapon that can bring the Earth into the cosmic age. As long as it can't bring them benefits, this invention that can explore the truth of the universe is useless. Tony once again ruthlessly destroyed Peter's understanding of the bottom line of human morality, and Bruce began to worry that his points were not enough to exchange for this technology. Hikari silently glanced at his points. It seems hopeful. The video continues. The Dark Bolton didn't expect that Maximum Ultraman would appear again, but he didn't care at all. After all, he had just defeated him once, and was already defeated by him. So he rushed up with a sneer, and his two huge pincers smashed down on Maximum Ultraman like a double hammer. However, Maximum Ultraman had recovered to his best condition at this time. Such an attack had no effect on him at all. He easily dodged it, and even found an opportunity to counter-attack with his fists and knees, making Dark Bolton retreat continuously. Dark Bolton was dizzy and swollen from the beating. Thanks to his genetic modification, he had thick skin and flesh to resist beating. If he hadn't been genetically modified, Dark Bolton was sure that he would have been beaten down. NMD. Aren't you a civilian observer of a planetary civilization supposed to be a civilian? Exclamation mark. How can you be so good at fighting as a civilian? After the two giants fought for a few moves, Dark Bolton found that he was no match for Ultraman Maximum in close combat, so he distanced himself and fired beams carrying rolling heat waves at Ultraman Maximum with his two huge pincers like two cannon barrels. Yellow destruction beam. Maximum barrier. Faced with the yellow destruction beam that once caused him huge damage, Maximum showed his super high combat quality that he should not have as a civilian, and launched his strongest defense skill, Maximum barrier, at the same time as the yellow destruction beam was emitted. Although I think that light is closer to reddish Beidou Encyclopedia says it is a yellow destruction beam, well, let's just treat it as yellow. Chapter 324 Thanos' Doubts. When the yellow destructive beam of Dark Bolton hit the Maximum barrier, not only was it blocked by the Maximum barrier, but the energy in it was also absorbed by the Maximum barrier, which made the Maximum barrier change from the light red it originally emitted to a darker color. At the same time, Ultraman Maximum behind the Maximum barrier was not idle either. He gathered a lot of energy in the Maximum spark. After the Maximum barrier absorbed enough energy, the energy in the Maximum spark also gushed out and hit the Maximum barrier. The two energies converted and neutralized each other, and with a bang, they turned into a violently rotating tornado. Polar sandstorm. Maximum barrier power tornado. Maximum, who has a super energy supply, can finally play a good magician. I don't know if Dark Bolton's brain was damaged or the previous space mobile device was damaged. Facing the attack of the maximum power tornado, he just ran away instead of using the space displacement device to jump. Maybe the space displacement device has a skill CD. The tornado spun violently, emitting a powerful cutting force, constantly cutting the body of Dark Bolton. He couldn't escape, and could only scream. Amid his screams, his huge body was cut into countless pieces, exploding like flowers scattered by a fairy. Okay, this is a tooth for a tooth. Seeing that the body of Dark Bolton was blown up, Roxy, who was watching the battle not far away, clenched her fist happily, and said that now the opponent's entire body was blown up, he should be dead. Ho ho ho. But just when everyone thought they had won, the countless corpse fragments actually rang out the wild laughter of Dark Bolton again. Maximum Ultraman was startled and looked in the direction of the sound. He saw that it was the head of Dark Bolton in the corpse fragments that made the wild laughter. He now only had a head left, but he could still continue to speak, and it seemed that he was not injured at all. The head of the Dark Bolton slowly floated into the air and laughed wildly, saying, "For us Boltons, cloning technology is the foundation of the foundation, so this injury is nothing at all." After that, not only his head, but also the countless body fragments that had just been cut by Maximum Typhoon all floated up, and then a burst of energy light flashed, and all the body fragments turned into a brand new and complete Dark Bolton. How many are there? Looking at the Dark Bolton on the screen, Peter, who had never experienced a large-scale battle, realized for the first time what it meant to cover the sky and the sun. Even Thanos, who had a wider range of experience, was a little shocked this time. Thanos, what is the principle of this Dark Bolton's technology? If each clone has the original strength, then this skill is too terrifying. Yes, Thanos, the Emperor of the Universe, had to admit at this moment that facing such a buggy skill, he also felt a moment of insignificance and powerlessness. He has a space fleet, and he also has an army of biochemical beasts that are not afraid of life and death. He even captured giant star beasts as weapons of war. But if he were to fight against this Dark Bolton, he would have no chance of defeating this guy unless he was given Infinity Stones, and at least 5 Infinity Stones including the Soul Stone. Of course, if it was 6, and at all costs, it would be this Dark Bolton who would be numb. Can I fulfill my wish through technology? Thanos remembered a book he had read, which briefly explained the relationship between predators and prey. Based on this relationship, Thanos thought of more. If the number of prey is too small, then the predators will be forced to reduce their own numbers to maintain ecological balance. He is now forcing the people on Gamora's home planet to digest themselves internally, to reduce their desire to have children. But this approach is not only slow, but also uncontrollable. So can he develop a genetic virus through scientific means? Thanos became interested and simply wrote down the effects that this genetic virus should have. First, when the number of a certain group reaches a certain level, the genetic virus will break out, making it impossible for the race to reproduce naturally. Then, when the number of the race is too small, the life of the race will be forced to enter the FQJP state. As for the inhumanity of people, it is not within Thanos' consideration. When has Thanos ever cared about the feelings of others in his life? Exclamation mark. Thanos put this plan into the backup plan. In case his mind control plan fails, then he will use this method. Thanos sat on the top floor of a city. He looked out. The densely packed modern city, countless indigenous residents were moved in by Thanos and worked hard for a meager salary. The place he chose was also very coincidental. Nova Corps did not have that strength. The Shire Empire, which had that strength, was too lazy to come to such a remote place. Thanos looked out the window and always felt that something was wrong. Yes, he seemed to have forgotten something. What exactly is it? The 4 crouching dragons and phoenixes under his command? It shouldn't be. Gamora. That's not right. That girl has found a target and is trying to assassinate him every day. According to the intelligence he has, they have not only mobilized the Nova Corps and the Plunderers, but are also trying to contact the people of the Shire Empire. If it is the Shire Empire, Thanos believes that he is no match. The main gun of the space battleship that can press the cosmic god to the ground is playing tricks on you? Lord Thanos. Wearing a gentleman's hat, a black suit, holding a black umbrella and a magnifying glass on his face. Ebony Maw walked in, looking like he was going to turn it into a street lamp decoration. Speak. The current situation is not favorable to us. The Shire Empire has decided to send troops. Ebony Maw's words made Thanos frown slightly. It seems that my good daughter and that unreliable human are quite capable. Please give your orders, sir. Retreat. HMM. Do you have any objection? Hearing Ebony Maw's doubts, Thanos' momentum and sense of oppression instantly reached full. I dare not. Then, let's go. Experiments also require comparisons. Thanos smiled and said, when we leave, these people may not welcome us back, but they will welcome the things we leave behind. Yes. Ebony Maw went to command the army to evacuate, while Thanos looked up at the endless beautiful galaxy and then turned his attention to the live broadcast room. But, what did I forget? Chapter 325 question and answer mode is online. The video continues. Countless dark boltons floated in the air, densely packed, covering the sky, and even covering the entire sky. They let out a huge roar that resounded through the heavens and the earth. Captain Hijikata and several other team members saw this incredible scene. Their eyes were filled with shock. Just one dark bolton almost wiped them out, and now there is an army of dark boltons. How the hell can they fight? Ho 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 ho. Question begins. Facing the powerful enemy Dark Bolton, what is the final result? This answer is a group question, with a countdown of 30 minutes. Please write the answer on the screen in front of you. The answer will be collected after 30 minutes. You can hand in a blank paper, and no points will be deducted for a blank paper. If you answer correctly, you will be awarded 30 points. If you answer incorrectly, you will draw a nightmare card. Maximum Ultraman used the clone technique to create tens of thousands of Maximum Ultraman clones and beat Dark Bolton alive. B. Macro Bolton once again took out the magical black technology to restrain the Dark Boltankron technology. C. You can always trust the Earthlings, especially the black technology of the defense team. D. Maybe justice defeating evil is outdated. E. Draken said that there must be light, so there was Superman Egg-Wang. A Superman Egg-Wang fell from the sky, and the black technology killed Dark Bolton in seconds. F. Love Diana Prince, this kind of opponent, I really want to fight it. Wanda, Sister Diana, aren't you a reporter? Diana Prince, reporter is just my identity in the human world. As for my other identity, I'm sorry, it's even a little special and inconvenient to explain. Constantine, human world? Are you also a half-blood angel? Diana Prince, although I don't know what a half-blood angel is, but at first glance, it's still somewhat similar to my situation. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, angel. What is the difference between this kind of angel and humans? What are the basic atomic composition of their bodies? I'm really curious. Yes, I have already developed a curious emotion in my heart. Bruce Wayne, according to my observation, it should be a creature with special abilities, no different from humans. But you, if your self-description is true, then a god on Earth with human emotions. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, if you are worried about the humans in our world, my answer is that your worry is unnecessary. To me, they are just a bunch of basic particles. Everything about them is explored by me in a moment. I have no interest in them. Bruce Wayne, not really. Diana Prince, God on Earth? This title is not something that everyone can bear. Bruce Wayne, in my opinion, Dr. Manhattan's strength is fully worthy of being called a god on Earth. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, the title is just a way of conveying information. Peter Parker, you are off topic. Peter Parker, Dr. Manhattan, can you solve Dark Bolton? Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, very easy. I estimate that I can completely disintegrate it into elementary particles within 1 nanosecond. Their gravity means, and those skills should be useless to me. Peter Parker, should. Jonathan Osterman, Drive Manhattan, I'm not sure about their science and technology. Only if I try it myself can I draw the most accurate conclusion. If they can really trap me, it will be better. Tony Stark, at SOME unlucky child of Odin's family, don't you also know how to clone? Comment on it. Loki, at comment on his brother's hammer. Is my own clone technique the same as Dark Bolton's clone technique? Exclamation mark. If these clones were all phantoms, it would be fine. Loki could summon them. But if they were clones with full strength and as strong as the original body, then Loki regretted it now. When he was on the Chirrita warship, the Chirrita commander proposed to use their Chirrita cloning technology to clone some special creatures from the 9 realms. In return for the genes of those special creatures, they could give him a copy of the cloning technology information. But he refused at that time. Now he regrets it very much. Although the Chirrita cloning technology is definitely not comparable to Dark Bolton, at least there is a foundation, so he won't be completely in the dark when he learns it. Peter Parker, Mr. Hikaru, can you defeat Dark Bolton in that world? Agwang. Agwang. I instinctively think that this is used to make up the numbers. Loki Odinson, make up the numbers? Obviously the last option is the one, to make up the numbers. What's the use of a light love? Could it be that love can influence Dark Bolton? Peter Parker, I think the last option does make some sense. Loki Odinson, stop talking nonsense. Kit, this is definitely for fun. Strange, this reminds me of the option in the 3-body story, when the water droplet asked the sun for the power to defeat the logic of the wall facer. Bruce Wayne, let's analyze it carefully. Ace, if Maximum's universe also has Manison, then Maximum still has a way to deal with the current situation when he has enough energy, which is option A, the clone technique. Agwang, the clone technique was studied a long time ago, but no one has used it. A big part of the reason is that the mental and spiritual pressure is too great. Agwang, Dark Bolton can use cloning technology to create thousands of clones, but their clones all have separate brains to support and operate. However, if we use the clone skill, each clone uses the consciousness of the original body, that is, Dark Bolton is a separate individual. After we use the clone, no matter how many clones there is only one original body to control them. Guan, even if Maximum can fight 10 enemies at once, it seems that at least hundreds of clones are needed. However, hundreds of clones, and fighting against a strong enemy like Dark Bolton, the mental pressure required is too great. Guan, my personal opinion is to remove option E. This is the only one that can make up the numbers. Damn. Is it Chitauri or Chitauri? There are translations for both versions. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.